what you wanna listen to.
Who's someone in the league that you genuinely disliked at first, but now you like?
End of 2019, I'm Korean boot camping. I get in the game with Chaz, right?
Yep.
And I know it's Chaz. I was trying that game, but I was pretty tilted from what my teammates did. Well, we basically lost the game, and I had kind of like entered the game pretty much. Chaz kind of like was like, man, why is this O's guy hinting me in my Korean solo game? Man, he's intentionally hinting me just because of my O's pro man. He's so crazy, man. Like, okay, I'm just imagining what he's thinking, but he really disliked me after that. And then when I came back to O's and I was looking for a team, we were like gonna end up on the same roster, and I was like, oh shit, this could be bad. But you know what? I'm like, I didn't really have an option to join any other team. Like, there were no really better offers. So I joined AV again, and I think within the first week of us being in the same house, like, we became really good friends, and we're still good friends now. So if you could remove one champion from the game, who is it and why?
Yumi. Get that champ out of my game, man. I actually hate it.
I hate playing with Yumi and playing against Yumi.
I hate playing as Yumi.
Yes.
With Yumi, against Yumi. I hate Yumi.
Would you rather fight one Baron-sized Teemo or 20 Teemo-sized Barons? Honestly, you choose the 20 Teemo-sized Barons.
Yeah, there's no way you can beat a huge Teemo.
Because in real life, you just like...
You're gonna get blinded.
Yeah.
You're gonna get mushroomed on. You have no shot.
Poison and...
Yeah. But the Teemos, you can... I mean, the Teemo-sized Barons, you can just like kind of...
Like in real life, you can just go to your
baseball
shed.
Bat.
You can get your shed, get a baseball bat, get a broom or some shit.
Yeah, why not?
And then just like...
Yeah, easy.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the DoorDash LCO. We got one more big match and two more big fellas, fresh faces on the scene here. Jubes and Skimmy joining us for the second match of the night. Jubes, how you feeling? Did you watch that first game and how's your day been?
Yeah, look, I'm a little bit nervous because you guys have warmed up and I'm just straight in here, and honestly, I don't like the shadow that I'm getting with the glasses, so they're coming straight off. Don't worry. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if I can't see. It is what it is. I get Skimmy to do the play-by-play, and I'll just try and analyze what he's saying. So
I knew as soon as we saw you come on screen and I saw the shadow around your eyes, I'm like, Juice is 100% going to take his glasses off the first chance he gets.
I need to get like some filler. I think you get filler here, like Botox or something.
No, bro, no.
Look, yes, I'll be the devil. Yes, do it. Why not? You're a ballin' these days anyway, aren't you? So, Skimmy, we haven't spoken about you. How you feeling? I love your little flamingo shirt you got going on this evening.
Yeah, me and Joe's actually worked this one out off stream because we've actually both got the same shirt. So we decided to not, copy each other's outfit. I've taken the reins today. Actually, I've gone one step further. Maybe just a little bit TOS, but look, we've got the flamingo socks as well. Now, is that just a drip or what? I tell you what, we're dressed for this occasion. Lower bracket knockout.
Absolutely rocking it. I wish I knew and I would have worn my pineapple shirt and my pineapple socks just so we could be like kind of matching on that side of things. However, we've got to get into the game and we got to have a look at this sick piece of content about both the teams. Again, they're just having a quick chat, bit of a chinwag about what they think their strengths and weaknesses are.
I think Chiefs are probably the best team in the gauntlet and they match up the best against us, so if we can beat them, I'm pretty confident in running through the entire gauntlet.
I think Peace are like a top 3 team, so yeah, we're definitely worried about them, especially when we're facing them in the first round.
I think that when you ban certain champions against them, they're forced to play one style, which I think we match up to really well, so our game should be pretty smooth sailing, honestly.
They're probably going to be the hardest match for us because they have a very strong early game and they like to end games quick. So, if we get ahead early, I think we'll probably just roll over them later on. I think they kind of fall off the longer the game goes on.
It's pretty obvious kind of what the Chiefs do. Yeah, I think we have them figured out. The jungle support diff in this series, it's going to be huge.
If we stabilize bot lane, we should be able to win.
Peace, better be scared, because if you're up on the day, probably just going to get rolled.
Good luck to everyone who thought they had a shot at Worlds, because Leo and I are back and we're taking the throne again.
Well, You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. Both the teams, of course, trying to say what they think their strengths and weaknesses are. However, it is best of 5 territory, and I'm excited to see what Peace can bring to the table because they've got these experienced players coming back from overseas who have been talking about, it's just these best of ones. You're talking about best of ones all this season since they haven't had a whole lot of luck. So hopefully they can make their own luck. Anyway, let's talk Chiefs first here because so far so good for them. We did all tip them in our predictions as the team going out this evening. I wonder if that's going to be reflected in the actual predictions. But for now, Jubes, what do you think is going to be their win conditions for this best of 5?
I think the interview that we just watched hit the nail on the head with jungle support being the crucial, positions in this matchup. Obviously, Dragku has been pivotal for the Chiefs ever since kind of they've picked up momentum and went on those win streaks. Obviously, Swaith having some blinders on his type champions as well. But, when you come to these matches, it's not about, your Dragku, your Swaith, your Kisei. It's the collective. There's no longer going to be a one man that's going to drag you over the line, right? It has to be every single member on this team, firing on all cylinders to really get the to get the win. So whilst I agree, it's jungle support that's most important. You can't, what's the saying? I don't know what the saying is, but you just can't. You need help. I'm warming up.
The eggs in the basket? They put all your eggs in.
Nah, to be honest, I had the saying, and I don't think it was very safe for broadcast. So I pivoted. It was a quick pivot, and I detoured on the spot. But then I had nothing to follow it up with. So
just looped back around.
I'd rather keep my job for another week.
Very good. That's a great decision. Now, Skimmy, you want to say anything about Chiefs before we start talking Peace?
Yeah, I think Chiefs, I mentioned it before, right, with my crude analogy about how this is going to be a game of early game shenanigans. I think, Chiefs have perhaps dropped off a little bit in recent weeks. Maybe teams have figured them out eventually after, weeks and weeks of this dominating form. I do think the ace up their sleeve, though, will be some wild pocket picks and some crazy picks on a new patch. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
You said crude analogy, but you said it so quickly. I thought you said cood analogy, and I was like, is this another new word that we're going to be throwing in the mix? However, before we go too deep down that rabbit hole, let's start talking Peace as well. So a lot of experienced gamers on this lineup, Jubes, and so far, they've managed to get a very successful last week, bringing Aladoric back into the mix. Do you think he's going to be one of the key pieces of the puzzle for them?
He has to be. If you look at the way that they won their games and the momentum that they picked up, it was really off the back of Aladoric making all of those plays. He actually just suffocates the opposition. He makes it an extra body wherever, mid lane, top lane, wherever he is, and he's never afraid to pull the trigger, and that's probably what Peace was suffering from when he was gone. So him back into the lineup's been good. Tally has been an interesting change. Obviously can play mid lane champions, played at Worlds as a mid laner, so that's no surprise there. Babip coming back into the roster, I think he's going to offer a lot of experience, a lot of versatility in terms of champions that he can play. But more specifically, the Aladoric and Babip show is going to be crucial, like we touched on. And so, the last time these teams met, as you can see in this replay, like such a close game, such a close series, and I'm expecting it to go 5 games.
Yeah, and it's potential for it, of course. I've tipped for the 3-0 as per usual, but that's just because I've done it for the whole finals. I don't know if anyone else is going to be so excited about it. That is a lot of excitement coming out there, isn't it, Skimmy?
It certainly is, and for good reason too, because Violet's an absolute monster. He is probably your stereotypical AD carry mechanical monster, right? We saw that one game where he played the Ziggs. We weren't sold on it, but if you give them the likes of a Kaiser, a Xerath, and a Philios or anything along those lines, Isaiah is what I mentioned before, he will pop off. He will definitely give you a run for your money, and I want to see more of those cam reacts because they are so cool.
Yeah, the other X character.
I actually thought Violet didn't react. I thought he was just made robot and just like cold-blooded, I'm going to do what I need to do and that's it. But that's actually nice to see that. I'll be honest. You know what? I'm happy. I'm happy that he's happy. You know what I mean? I get satisfaction out of happy people.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where you kind of think he doesn't react, but maybe just playing in a team environment for long enough, it's just promoted or provoked him rather to start to be a bit more open with the emotions. And sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. However, speaking of a couple of characters, Nat, do you have some down on the side lanes there?
I do. I am going to be joined by Mboma and Tally. Thank you both so much for joining me. And Mboma, I want to start with you. You know, back in Split 1, we saw Chiefs do a pretty amazing run down in the lower brackets for playoffs. I guess, does it give you guys a lot of confidence that you potentially could be doing it again this split?
Yeah, I think so. It was our first playoffs ever, and I think people similar to right now thought we were the underdogs coming in. So I think once again, it's kind of fun to come in as the dark horse and cause an upset or something, because people are rating Peace pretty highly. So I'm excited for that.
Yes, I guess, you know, what sort of prep have you done for this matchup? Because, like you said, Peace definitely have been on form in the past few weeks.
I think we had a very productive week of scrims, actually. And obviously we went back and watched the Peace games. And yeah, we have a pretty good strategy coming in, I think. So don't want to give anything away, but yeah, I'm confident that we'll definitely make a close series.
I look forward to it. Now, Tally, I guess, you know, I want to say this is your first best of 5 in the LCO, but I know it's definitely not your first best of 5 at all. But how's the atmosphere down in Peace coming into this one?
I think we're all doing really well. I think we're all really confident. We're really happy to be out of best of ones where coin flips happen, and now we get to show off all our experience and where we're going to be comfortable and how we're going to be able to adapt.
Why do you think you guys favor best of 5s a little bit more than best of 1s?
I think the ability to just know why you lost instantly and just adapt the next game is a really, really big part of why best of 5s are so important. And I think that we're really good at that because I think we're very multi-dimensional. So I'm confident that we're finally out of best of 1s.
It sounds like it's going to be shaping up to be a pretty good series. Now, I have to be pretty straightforward. There is a potential this is the last time we are going to be seeing one of you guys. So I want to kind of open up the floor a little bit and let you say any messages to fans or followers if you want to start in Mboma.
I mean, it's not like my funeral or anything, so I'm not going to say anything like that. But
no, that's true. I did make it sound pretty severe.
Yeah,
it's not. It's just the last time this year.
I think this matchup actually could have been a preview of what the finals could have been in another timeline where we beat Direwolves or something. I think that definitely could have happened. But I think for now, we're pretty excited to verse Peace because I think they're definitely a top 3 team and they probably have the same opinion of us. So yeah, I'm just excited to see what happens. Enjoy the journey.
Wherever it takes you, I love it. Tally, what about you? Anything you want to say out there?
I'd have to agree with what Matt's saying. I think that this series would have been what I would have predicted as the finals. I think that whoever wins this series will probably go on to win the league. So I mean, I'm just happy that our first game is such a hard one because it really proves that we have come from such a bad place in the middle of the season and it was such a huge bounce back. If we win this, then I'm confident we'll take the whole thing.
That is a lot of confidence, and of course. Yeah, of course, the last thing I do want to ask is how many games do you think this series is going to be? What's the scoreline for this series going to be, Tally?
Well, I mean, I think based on our scrims, it's going to be an absolute banger of a series. I think it's going to be fighting everywhere. So I think it's either going to be a 3-1 or a 3-0. I'll probably say 3-1.
Okay. And Mboma, what about you?
Yeah, I agree. I think Peace is the most fun team to scrim as well. But I played Among Us with Alderic last night and I won 3-1, so I think we're going to win 3-1 as well. So
weird.
Yeah, it's my prediction.
Alrighty, I love it that you're basing, if you're going to make it any further in the playoffs off another game. I guess why not?
Yeah.
But thank you both so much for joining me. Good luck tonight. I am very, very hyped for this matchup.
Thanks,
Matt.
I'd like to call a meeting. I don't think that is a good way to figure out if you're going to win the game of League of Legends.
Well, I think with the thing that we found out, Mac, is we found both imposters. It's got to be Aladoric and Mboma, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
They're the imposters. So
yeah.
We'll have to keep an eye on bot lane. See what's going on down there. Could be kind of sus.
Yeah, it could be kind of sus indeed. Now, let's have a quick look at where we're going to be heading with the predictions. In terms of what we all put up on Twitter, I want to see if this aligns. So far, so good. Jubes and Skimmy here. Skimmy, you're 63 and 22. I believe you actually jumped in front of Rusty last game solely because You went for Direwolves, he went for Order. So there you go. Maybe you are going to be the leader here. 55 and 30. Is that right? Because I got my score prediction right. I didn't really pay attention. It might have been on 52. Either way, we'll jump on to page 2 anyway. I'll go back through the VOD and then just yell at people if things don't go right. Oh, so everyone has gone for peace. There you go. All right, and yep, there it is. So Skimmy as the new leader. What is going on, my friend?
Why am I going for peace? I think for me personally, they're back to their strongest in terms of they've sort of run their own internal gauntlet, right, of swapping out players, figuring out what works for them. They started off split 2 really strong, and then they went through this completely weird, bizarre period of we're playing subs, we're playing another roster. Now we've played 8 variations of what peace could look like. I think in the last week on 11-15, they absolutely stomped. They showed us what it could look like, and perhaps they're starting to tap back into some of that split 1 magic.
And Nat, you went to half yell and stopped yourself. What's up?
Oh, I didn't want to talk over you. I felt really bad because it's really not that important. But Rusty went 3-1. He kind of went back on his word there, you know. That's all I'm going to say.
He did too. Crazy little bugger. So he actually meant 3-0, but he just didn't have the confidence to go for it. However, I heard that Champ Select is ready, so make sure you exclamation DoorDash in chat. Get yourself some bloody dessert because it's 8 p.m. But here it is, second match of the day. It's up for elimination. Chiefs and Peace coming at you now.
Certainly is, Mac, and Juice. Well, I'm stoked to be here, mate. This is a banger series for multiple reasons. 2 big teams, and one of which will be getting knocked out here tonight. My question to you, sort of opening up this draft phase, is having been in a position like these players before yourself, you know, what is the best way, in your opinion, to sort of approach a draft, especially the first game? Do you look to try and take a risk, hit them with some pocket picks and get that mental edge? Or is it more like play standards and, you know, test the waters?
Game 1 is kind of where you can be a little adventurous in terms of what you want to pick. If you came into the game with a bit of a strategy, like let's target ban this guy, leave open maybe some OPs, and we'll just trade in 1 and 2, then that's fine. You can do that. Like, I think when you start to feel the pressure in draft and when you want to really fall back onto your comforts, your basics, is when you're down, you know, 2-1 in a series, or when you're down 2-0, that's when you really need to knuckle down and just play what's worked all year. Yeah, alternatively, do what you want to do in 1 game. So in this, as an example, they've locked in the Ezreal Nautilus lane. Obviously, that's a strategy. You know, just straight taking those 2 champions in 1 and 2 isn't what we see, you know, all that often. No. But just do this. If it doesn't work, you can flip the script next game and do the complete opposite. So I kind of don't mind what Chiefs have done here. Like, you know, they're going to be able to get counterpicked, right? It's going to be no shock that they're going to get counterpicked bot side of the map. But what it says to me is Dracula really wants to roam, put an emphasis on a specific lane, maybe mid lane, maybe it's Tally, and then look to open up somewhere else, right? And Boma's just going to be on the Ezreal weak side. He'll be fine. Ezreal's not really a strong side champ.
And I mean, that's Chiefs to a T, right? They've always done that when they leave him Boma down to his, you know, bot lane, solo XP, farming up a Storm, a champion that can do so effectively. You're talking Ezreal, Ziggs, Heimerdinger, to name a few. I really like this from the Chiefs, and a fantastic point you mentioned with the Nautilus, because that has been a key strategy where he links up then with Swaif and they collapse on the lane, perhaps kiss A's and get the ball rolling with him. What's interesting though is the fact that Leona did get passed across back into Peace's hands, because that has been a crucial pick between both support players. They're most played across the entirety of Split 2.
And I do think that they've got their bread and butter on both sides respectively, right? Dracu's Nautilus for me is probably the best in the league, and Leona for Aladoric is probably the best in the league. Yep. So it's actually going to be nice to see the 2 exact same styles where they just want to go in. They're very committal. They have no way to get out if they pull a wrong engage. So that's going to be fun to watch. And the one thing that I'm excited to see, and I guess what I like from Peace thus far, is the Lee Sin. Babip, for me, very clean jungler, right? On the Nidalee and things of that nature. So the playmaking ability on the Lee Sin makes so much sense. Lee Sin's seeing a lot of popularity now across pretty much all of the regions, right? Yeah. So, you know, I'm happy to see that in his hands, because it is kind of a high variability, right? You're either inting or you're carrying. There's no in between. And then the Rise for Tally. For me, that's Tally's best champion, because it's, you know, no matter what position he's played in, it's actually just been a staple. Like, in all of the seasons that he's been a top laner, it's been a top lane champ. Or the season he was a mid laner, it's been a mid lane champ. So, I mean, again, I don't think if you're Peace, you're finding a better draft so far for the limitations, or not limitations, the strengths of their players.
Yeah, and there's a couple of interesting points you mentioned, picking up on the fact that both Tally and Babbitt were part of a very successful run with Legacy of 2020. You talk about Babbitt perhaps playing the Lee Sin. He had a 6-0 record on it last year. Has not played a single game of it so far this year, be it in LCO or abroad in North America, but it can be flex topside. We've seen Happy play one game, very small sample size for him. You touch on Tally with the Rise as well, and it's a big variation away from what he used to be like when he was playing the mid lane. You sort of like an Ornn, a Galio, a Twisted Fate, a Cho'Gath, anything to try and protect that AD carry. And whilst he was protecting Raze on that occasion, you could almost draw some similarities with protecting and pocketing Violet here.
Yeah, 100%. Now on the other side of the coin, Skimmy, Chiefs have opted in for a draft that's, how do I put this? Not what we're used to seeing from them. Kisei on the Galio, I believe he's played it a few times. I might have to just check that real quick. But even so, it's not what we've known Chiefs to be as a team, right? But I want to take note of what Mboma said in his interview. They have a strategy prepared, and I thought this might be the case. It's going to be a carry versus carry matchup topside, but you now need to factor in the Galio. You now need to factor in the Nautilus that's going to be up there. So in terms of cheating tempo and global ultimates, the Chiefs have this one in the bag, at least, the early levels post level 6, right? Like, so what, up to level 9, maybe level 11, because Rise isn't able to match as easy. Rise should, get a bit of priority in that lane, be okay in terms of farming. It's no danger for Tally, but the danger is, what does Kisei get done?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question, because we have seen a lot of laners in the mid fall behind if they do pick up the sort of more global role, right? They look to fall down maybe 10, 15 CS and look to try and play to those side lanes. You can understand why the Yasuo was banned away for that good reason, because there's a massive wombo combo with plenty of knockups, especially could have been that mid jungle with the Diana pairing. But I've seen Liv spamming a lot of Jax games in solo queue. We've seen this pairing where Camille gets locked in, Jax is the response. And as you touched on, I'm expecting top lane to be a big focus. I feel like Liv has really evolved as a player this split. Certainly risen to the occasion of saying we aren't just a sort of one-dimensional, let's sway for Kisei pop off. Big expectations on Kisei being the rookie of the split last, coming into this one and continuing that sort of growth at such a young age. So I'm looking forward to seeing the investment that Liv's put on this champion and sort of how he's grown in terms of being dominating and looking to try and find that advantage given the amount of shake-ups that piece have had this split.
And the thing is too, right, if you're being completely honest, like you touched on, is that Liv in the last few weeks got a player that delivered most of the time.
Yeah.
Like, he had some absolute blinders in recent weeks. So, I mean, they just must feel so confident putting the game in his hands and allowing him to be the one to take over the game. Now, it's obviously got to be a bit of a question mark surrounding, like, how's Appy going to do with all this pressure that gets piled onto him? Maybe we see it into mid pivoting into top. So there's going to be a lot of questions for both teams to answer. The pick that we didn't touch on that I actually don't mind in this particular game is Violet on the Xayah.
Yeah.
Partially because it's arguably one of his better champions. And you know what, Skimmy, we'll go to the interview. I'll stop there.
We certainly are waiting for a producer to AQ me in, mate. You know the drill far too much by this time, hey.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't even want to get into a ramble because it's gonna be disappointing when I have to stop.
Well, I'll let you pick up the reins in just a second, because to open up this best of 5 series between Peace and Chiefs, we're gonna get the perspective of Coach Kuden to open up the night here and gauge how the boys have been preparing for this one. So, Juice, take it away.
So, Kuden, how are you, buddy? You all right?
Yeah, Yoza. Yoza.
How are we feeling for today's series, today's game? Give us the rundown.
Feeling real good. This is early this should be grand finals, but we decided to play it 2 weeks earlier for the viewers.
You're a man of the people, huh? You want to give the viewers what they want.
Yeah.
Couldn't wait that long.
Early finals. The game before was just like appetizer or whatever.
Now, before the game, I don't know if you heard Mboma's interview, but Mboma did say that you guys are coming into this match with a bit of a strategy. Obviously didn't tell us the strategy, mate. But is there anything that Coach Kuden, the biggest brain, can bestow upon us, any knowledge?
Yeah, the strategy is gap them everywhere. Top, mid, jungle, bot, ADC coach, house, manager, org.
all of the utilities, everything. Okay.
Yep.
Now, this is probably a little bit of a different team composition than we're used to seeing, right? Kisei on the Galio, not on those high damage, high carry mid laners like the Aurelia and whatnot. Is this just kind of something that you guys have picked up in recent weeks, or you've just had this in the back pocket for a while?
I mean, I would love for him to play Aurelia, but they banned it. The cowards. Galio, hasn't he played Galio before this year?
He has, but I think he has, but we've more or less seen him made his name on those like 1v9 mid
full
laners.
AP Galio,
So-
you know, bro. You know, full AP Galio, one shot everyone, everywhere. Fake guard.
Yeah. Well, Kudo, I don't want to make you miss too much action, so thanks for joining us, and I'm sure we'll talk to you again
I'm really
later
gonna go to the
tonight.
toilet as well.
Fantastic. Enjoy.
It's mutual. He's like, well, I gotta go.
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
gonna try and spice it up just a fraction.
I mean, yeah, you go do what you need to do, Mike, and we'll touch base later. A little bit of an aggressive all-in in the top lane.
Yeah, certainly is, isn't it? Both really looking trying to outplay with the hook shot as well as the counter strike and find themselves that little advantage to get the trading potential. And so far, you know, both down to 50%. Not going to feel too bad though. Both have potions. Corrupting pot in favour here of Lived as Swaif. He's going to pop his head into top side, but might just be a gentleman's agreement to both pick up a crab.
It's interesting for me that Babip has pathed away from the Camille. Now, he's actually just dead.
He's just gone. Yeah, easy as that. Right now, Chiefs find themselves first blood, and much to your point, no protection from Babip.
And I think, well, obviously, Appy can play this lane a lot better because the Camille doesn't lose this lane to Jax really hard, really early because you have tactical sweep, you have the shield, and it becomes like a bit of a game around the counter-strike, right?
Yeah.
You don't hard win the lane by any means because Jax can just trade like a madman. But what's important for me is that Lived can trade like that because he knows Swaith is pathing topside, right? And the fact that Babip started topside and pathed towards his bot lane really hurts the way that Appy plays those early levels and the early lane. And yeah, he could have played it better for sure. But I mean, you want to be pathing towards your volatile lane, and I feel like he hasn't done that.
But it was an area that we highlighted in the drafting phase that could certainly blow open very early, and it has allowed both Swaif and Liv to pick themselves up with a bit of an item advantage. She nifted at Jax now to find himself better trading patterns. Swaif has actually managed to just run into lane, not going to go for the gank, just going to trim the wave and push it in.
And I mean, that's pretty big in itself, right? Because as you think about Swaith being such a key component of this draft, he actually gets a decent chunk of experience from pushing that wave in. Yeah, you lose some on the Chief side, but the 2v2 bot side losing the EXP isn't as volatile as Diana getting level 6 first, right? Because if Diana's 6 before Lee Sin, you can you have that window to make that Hail Mary play. You know, the one that maybe doesn't make too much sense, but the fact that you have the access to the ultimate and the levels, you're really able to just, you know, force maybe what you wouldn't have forced previously.
Might see another force here. Tally has the most experience in the game so far, but Kisse's looking to try and zone him away from those chickens as Draku is on that famous roam as lots of supports are starting to really come into their own eyes. Happy. It continues to be a little mini-game here in the top side with betting out each other's the ability.
Yeah, because you can buffer your hook shot with the counter-strike, then you can use the tactical sweep to kind of sustain a little bit, because Jax doesn't really have sustain in early levels. So it's not terrible, it's not the end of the world, but it gets bad quite quickly. Like once you hit level 6, once Jax hits level 6, you start to really feel it. And I mean, this Sheen to pretty much no buy from Appy is always going to hurt. So you're really hoping Babip can get something done bot side of the map where they actually have the agency, where they have the priority, and the Infernal Drake is a good one to start.
First Dragon going the way here, as you point out. And on this patch, Peace have put a big focus towards those Dragons. 93% of the time across 11-15, 4 games to really talk about. That has been the focus. They've been a little bit more keen to sacrifice the Herald for this in particular, playing for those soul points. And I think, I mean, it's sort of what we've highlighted this matchup as being, right? I feel like the first 10-15 minutes are going to be very crucial in determining who's going to come out ahead, who's going to look to try and snowball a lead and run the mids, as well as the late game. Swaif will be spotted by Vision, but it is enough pressure to zone Appy away from this wave.
And it's almost as good as a kill too, right? Even if Appy doesn't die, the CS that he's losing, the EXP that he's losing, and the plates that Liv are being picked up, basically, you know, result in a kill.
Tally could be in trouble. Does get taunted. Swaif does have the level 6 now, so what are the potential for a wombo combo to link up with? But Tally feeling pretty protected. He's got to be careful though, because Draku's on a roam. This is a classic Chiefs pincer maneuver from all 3 sides. The flash goes out early, but there's the move for to follow up. The damage is there. One more auto flash will guarantee it. Swaif 2 ganks and 2 kills.
Yeah, Dyna's one of the most, I guess, snowbally champions in the entire game, right? Like the moment you get a kill or you get 2 kills, I mean, you just do so much damage, and it's sort of unavoidable in the sense that in the sense that, you know, the Moonfall. Ooh.
Oh, look at that damage. Appy, I mean, he's trying
Appy
to play
has
this
Ignite.
massive. Now he's gone for the Ignite, as you point out. Well,
Squashed. Just squashed. He just hit him with a lamp and absolutely
bit of a bug
squashed him.
splat, that one.
Yeah.
Screen just went grey, and he has nothing to really talk about, but he has called for his jungler to come up and try and save the wave, save the state. That goes the kick. He's going to bait it out with a Sonic Wave, and he's going to execute.
He played it well, and the wave's going to be in a good spot too for his top laner. He does not actually freeze it. It's fine. I think it's fine. But anyway, top side of the map, little bit of a disaster. You can see how Camille can win the lane early, right? Like he's playing from behind and he's playing at a deficit, and I'd have to watch the replay. I think he even mis-executed the Q2 on Camille. Not sure it would have made a big difference, but I mean, happy days if you're a Chiefs fan right now. The lead that you're generating topside is quite substantial, but this is a nice little pick up here from Babip.
So he's got his work cut out for him, and you're really starting to feel the after effects of what has been a strong Chiefs start here. 20 CS leads in the jungle, 2 kills for the Diana as well. You mentioned how pivotal that champion can be for getting a strong start, hitting 6 as quickly as possible, and then getting the item advantage as a result. And Peace as a result have said, well, we might not be as gank heavy or as gank focused, but we have played for double objectives.
Yeah, so let's analyze here. Does he not get Q2 off? So it's charging here, the ults. He doesn't use Q2, and I wonder. I don't think it's lethal, but
Sonny was close.
Oh, not good.
Here comes the heroic entrance. Skissei is looking for a piece of the pie, an assist, but a kill. Give it across to Liv. The top side here for Chiefs is just unstoppable.
Yeah, but again, it's one of those things. Ooh, hold the thought. Diana has ultimate. I don't think they want this fight. It's one of those things where it's so hard to play side lanes, and we've seen this time and time again. It's so hard to play side lanes with a global mid, whether it's a Twisted Fate, whether it's a Galio.
Yeah.
We've seen we see often Bruiser versus Bruiser and a real volatile topside matchup, and the team with the Galio or the Twisted Fate often wins because you're not used to playing against the Galio, right? It's not something that you play against every week, and teams don't often find the priority through mid lane to stop the Galio move. Like, you want to burn Galio's teleport to match that play, right? Like, you don't want to just give him the free ultimate. And in that instance, it was just a free ult. And it wasn't even a play made by the Chiefs. It was just reactive Galio ultimate that net that kill. So Peace and I think Aladoric need to really just put a little bit of pressure on Kisei in the mid lane. Then they can swing to, you know, a side lane if need be.
Yeah, and it is starting to break out though, a sizable, CS lead for Tally. There's the Realm Walk looking for a very deep entrance into bot lane. Stun goes out, Solitaire to follow. Peace looking for a kill, and it's Aladoric, the man you highlight, that finds it. A Moonfall once again comes out, but Leona survives. A double kill found. The bot lane of Chiefs destroyed.
Yeah, I mean, that's just such a good play there. And I mean, you know, we talk about the Galio being a global champ too, right? Got to consider the Rise ultimate, you know, half a global, really able to impact bot side of the map. And that's huge because we think about how, as a team, the Chiefs operate, Peace operate. Violet picking up 2 assists. Sure, not ideal, but the CS lead to top it off. That's just a massive play. And it was actually very well played by Aladoric on the Leona. Flash stun to secure the CC, and then drop your, you know, your Leona ultimate, your Solar Flare, and then actually Babip's kick doesn't waste it on Imboma for the execute. Gets the 2-for-1.
He ran the numbers. He was confident with the play. No trade was going to, you know, really come about on that one. Peace were really forcing their hand, and that was on Vision as well, but the crab was still available at that time. Oh, Draku flirting with danger. Very keen to find that pick. Look, he's not going to land, but it is Chiefs that have started off the Dragon here. The second one of the game. It's going to be an Ocean. Kisei looking to try and zone from the flank, but needs about 10 seconds before his ultimate can come up, and as a result of that, they had to forfeit it.
Yeah, I mean, they had no ultimate on the Diana, right? And Ocean Dragon so early into the game just shreds you, and Swave started that on half health. Want to see where Babip drops his Rift Herald, right? He still has it in his inventory, and it's, you know, it's coming up to 12 minutes, so he's got to drop it soon.
I guess the question becomes, do you go top side and look to try and assist Appy, who's already 0-3 so early on, or do you know, completely invest in this Xayah and make sure that he becomes as big as possible? There's Rise again. They run it back again. Look at the CC. Tenacity isn't saving you there, Tally. And he's fallen down again in the mid lane.
That was very well played from Kisei, to be honest. And this just might be a straight dive because they have no Galio.
Cross-map play, once again, the solo flare there. The turret is being tanked here
wow.
by Aladoric. They found one, but Bebe once again wants that second kill, flashes out, juggling turret aggro. He has some of the heralds, so this is a cross-map play that Peace are looking to control. A double kill now for the Lee Sin, and this could be a highlight reel for both junglers.
I know this is a little bit of an overused term, and I don't want to do it, and I don't want to say it, but I have to. Summoner's Rift at the moment is just like Babip's playground. He literally controls the swings and the slide.
So he does.
You gotta say something. I felt really cringe.
You know, I let that one sit maybe a fraction too long.
You let it simmer way too long. I got really stressed out.
You're like, oh, that's cool, bro. Just throw me under the bus.
Yeah, I go, because if Skimmy's not enjoying my jokes, then no one's enjoying my jokes.
There's a problem, yeah, mate. It's a banger.
So, whatever, it was terrible. But anyway, moral of the story is Babip's just making so many plays on the map. And I mean, we talked about the Lee Sin. Kind of has to get going. And I mean, you know, he's gotten his bot lane, you know, with a little bit of assistance from Tally and Aladoric, but he's gotten his bot lane such a substantial lead in this game.
Yeah, now you're seeing just opposite sides of the map be strong for different reasons. You know, Divine Sunder is already completed here by Lived, who's well on his way to becoming that monster where we can keep those stacks up and trade with confidence. But both junglers, you'd say, between the Lee Sin and the Diana serve a similar role in this game of displacement and just pure burst to try and secure a kill. And I feel like, given the fact that they both have themselves that bounty, for the next few minutes, things might calm down until they look to find that next move.
You know, but if you're a Chiefs fan, the top side of the map is still looking fantastic, right? You still have this massive Jax in the name of Lived. Then you've got Swathe, who's obviously, he's 2 levels up, right? Like, Babip is strong, but yeah. Swathe's got the most gold in the game, so...
Well, it's Babip that goes in first of all. There's the knock-up, there's the kick away to make sure he doesn't get hit by that counter-strike, but then there's a Moonfall following things out, but Babip can rotate away. The Xayah comes on through, the feathers have been deployed, the damage is there. A 1-for-1 trade so far, but Lee Sin is gone. Now a 2-for-1 favouring the Chiefs. They're finding more. No, Appy! Clean on the run back. He was 0-3, but picks up a double and a shutdown.
And Babip just lives for so long there. Has the Mercury trades, has the Gore Drinker, takes, you know, pretty much all of the cooldowns, including the Diana ultimate. Falls down in the end, but what you get off that is you get your man Appy 2 kills back into the game, a shutdown as well that was on the side of Swathe, and now all of a sudden, I mean, you don't really have a lead topside anymore, and you invested so heavily into that in the early game. Replay here, I mean, watch Babip, right? You think he's just going to get bursted, he's going to get one shot. Swathe misses the Diana Q, and I think that's what costs them there, because he loses a reset. You know, alternate world where he gets the double dash off instantly, Babip falls down. But, you know, this is the situation that we're in, and Peace are just showing us, I guess, mechanically across the board what we were missing.
Yeah, and I think that's been the biggest question mark on this series, right? Be it that Peace have had their struggles to split, but we know how mechanically good they are. They brought in these new players in Babip and Tally, and the question was, you know, how much of an upgrade is this? Does this now make them title contenders? Does this beat Pentanet to go to Worlds this year? And whilst it's been a bit of a struggle, Chiefs have certainly, you know, risen to the occasion and leveled up in their own regard. But a bit of a tab check here at 15 minutes, you're thinking, is it all about mechanics, or is it just about, you know, map comprehension? Because that's a fantastic rotation.
Yeah, and the problem with current game state is obviously second Rift Herald is never a good thing to give away nowadays, with how side lanes generate, or any lane rather, generates more gold on tier 2 turrets. But main point is that you look at Chiefs composition and it scales, right? Like, it has scaling in it with the Jax, the Diana, the Camille, and the team composition you've drafted. But the problem is that Peace's scaling is also very good. And you would argue at this point in the game, if you're not ahead with the Galio, that champion isn't going to fare very well. And then to top that off, you know, the Camille can teamfight better than the Jax.
No. He could be in trouble. You've called the name, and he may now be the focus as the kick goes out. He's trying to disengage away. The ult goes away, and he does manage to disengage. The realm will comes out, but it means that Tally is trying to hit them with the flux and lock them in place with some rune prisons, but it's not enough because he's the first pick, and he's the first one that falls on down. The re-engage from Kisei and a fantastic tool lock members in place that allows the rest of Chiefs to come on through and find those kills. There's the Featherstorm. Surely the recall, but he's got nothing to recall on because Liv had disengaged away, and the angle was just not forgiving enough.
That's insane. You know that saying, right through the Counter-Strike? That did definitely not go through the Counter-Strike, Skimmy. He lived on one auto attack of health, and I mean, the Counter-Strike just came up on the perfect timing, and that's a very good reactive play from the Chiefs. You know, they are able to pick up a lot of value bot side with Swaith, you know, putting the jungle on cooldown, and just across the board, they're able to generate a turret. They probably pick up a dragon here as well, so that's a big win for the Chiefs.
So he is, and now, once again, back towards that Dragon. Swaith a little bit more topped up and healthy this time around, so he should have no issue taking this one uncontested, no vision, no problem. 9 kills to 8, as close as it comes. The gold lead is dead even, but the points of power seem to be pretty evenly mixed.
So I think, you know, that was a very... Ooh.
Oh, stop it, Aladoric. Leona, it's just too good to give up. Swaith jumps in, but the Moonfall Burst on its own is not there. The True Shot Barrage to try and follow it up, and he just hasn't found it on that occasion.
And this is the problem when you verse Aladoric. You actually don't get the opportunity to make any misstep on Summoner's Rift, because I feel like even when it's a bad engage, not saying that one was specifically, it turns out to be a good engage, because everyone's just willing to follow Aladoric, right? And in that instance, Swaith, all he did was like pop his head into the jungle. Like, it wasn't even a Swaith being aggressive, right? And he just got completely punished in between two turrets almost.
Certainly did. There's another turret picked up. That means piece of the first to find those 3 turrets and really open up the top side of this map now and really make it a playground, as you would call it, for the Ryze and the Camille to execute upon and potentially tease with TP advantages for a inhibitor. I want to take the moment, just whilst we have a bit of time to talk about it, some of the item differences. I saw a Rift Maker completed there by Swaith. He has now just sold it, instead now bought a Zhonya's.
Oh,
but
yep.
On the opposite end, Tally as the Ryze, he doesn't have a tier.
Yeah, maybe he's just opting in for the Seraphs as like a late 3rd item. He just values the utility from the Everfrost plus the Zhonya's to stay alive, because I think he's, in his mind, right, Swaith's going to jump on top of him, use the Moonfall, and he needs to survive the Galio ultimate that follows. If he can get in stasis, survive that, he's able to kite it out and potentially flash out, win the fight, because the thing about Zhonya's and Stopwatch, you know, the value is infinite if you have that one team fight where you execute perfectly, right? Like where you stopwatch the Diana damage, the Galio damage, you stopwatch that, you get Baron, you win the game. So I guess I can understand from a utility and a safety standpoint why he's opted in for those choices. Obviously you lose the damage, but you know, damage isn't his concern, right? He's done the tab check, he sees Violet up 40 CS, 2 kills to his name, so his job is just to survive.
Survive and you know, output pressure, whether it be in a team fight with resets or just on the map, as we saw him do so successfully before. That wave's now crashing, has to be responded to by Kissei, but the vision so far found by Peace is just a little bit clinical. Aladoric jumps on in, the Featherstorm comes in out as the recall surely should be there, but Swaith's going to flash away after the Zhonya's expires. Kissei jumping in, looking to try and trade blows here with Aladoric, but Afi on the flank finds that kill, takes that Emboma, he burnt Flash, he couldn't even use the heal, lived 1v3, jumps in with a Counter-Strike, that could be huge, but the stopwatch is there, as you highlight, Tally going for utility, because he doesn't need damage if he just does not die. The Realm Walk to disengage away, and he's jumped in, why? Why did he do that?
Oh wow. It's not over yet though. Oh wow.
He's seen an angle that I couldn't even predict.
To be honest, okay, like obviously Aladoric should walk out of that, but Tally's a scumbag. That is 100% Tally's fault. I don't care what anyone says. You're dropping a Realm Warp there. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? You used to be able to, I don't know if you can still do it, but you used to be able to press B. If you press B or base, whatever your home button is, then you would not get taken by the Realm Warp.
Interesting.
Fun fact. I don't know if they patched that, but yeah.
Might be like one of those unexpected bugs.
Anyway, obviously that was a little bit of a skirmish, a little bit of a lot to take in. Now, the thing that I wanted to touch on in that skirmish was the Xayah pick. I mean, we're just seeing the value of the Xayah, right? Uses the Xayah ultimate to disengage the Diana ultimate, disengages Galio as well in the process. I mean, there's just so much value coming out of this pick, and Xayah is really good into compositions that want to dive backline and have those R buttons, because once you disengage that, it's like we said before, Violet's playground.
Yeah. And it was his most played of Split 1, 5 games, 80% win rate, 6 KDA. It was a champion that certainly had caused teams in the past problems. We've not seen a single game of Xayah this split for Violet. But he's bringing out an old faithful, and for good reason too. Just so hard to take him down.
Yeah, and this Diana build, because he's finished his Riftmaker now, it ramps up. Like, Swaif does a lot of damage in teamfights where he's able to auto-attack or stay alive, right? Like, the damage ramps up, the sustainability and survivability ramps up, but you don't have as much bang for buck as you would just dropping a Moonfall and hitting Stasis, right? You're not going to do as much damage as, you know, other alternative items. So Swaif...
Oh, Appy's, he's heeded the call, he's jumped on in, he's recruited for the task that is to take down Nif's Nautilus. Once again, a 2-man Moonfall. Swaif is insanely huge for a jungler at level 14, 2 levels ahead of Babbitt. Finds that kill, but can he find more? Liv once again, jumping on in, Counter-Strike swinging, looking to try and take members down, but flashes are committed. Swaif up against Violet. He can't find him, and he certainly won't get him. He falls on down, and as a result of that, Chiefs are bleeding, down with damage and down with their health bars too, not feeling healthy about it, but Liv is looking to try and put on a bit of a clinic himself. Finds himself in these interesting scenarios here, Juves, where he's up against the world and more. He might be able to turn things around. Counter-Strike has just come back off cooldown. He can leap in, empower it, look to one-shot him. Takes out Alodoric. And now, he is going to get denied.
Yeah. And Draku might even be in a little bit of trouble here. We'll have to see. No, he's fine. He just... gets out of vision there, but there's so many like skirmishes. Well, there's 2 skirmishes that take place in that last team fight. I'm sure we'll get a replay. It's like the Appy and Alodoric show on one side, or Babip, sorry, and the damage in last team fight, before I cut that off. Too much to break down. Here we go. Okay, so Appy does a good job in stalling here with Babip, right? They're able, Alodoric, sorry. They're able to just stall so much time on the back end. They take down Kisei on the Galio, and then this corridor is perfect for Violet. He had so many feathers down, and he ultimately just zones all of the carries from Chiefs. And then Tally does the same thing. He zones Mboma. Mboma's not able to really get any meaningful auto attacks or damage off in this team fight. And again,
we're back to live, and it starts once again with a man on Leona. Soliflare goes out, Kisei Blast comes himself to safety, and whilst the Xenoflave won't connect, the hook shot certainly will. Moonfall is huge from Swaif again! But these Zonias are causing him so much pain and despair. He can't find the kill, he can't find the reset. He has the most farm in the game for the Chiefs, but he's always the first one to fall on down.
Yeah, and it's just chaos. It is just chaos. I mean, we didn't even get to see, we were watching a replay, we didn't get to see how that started. Obviously, Kisei found someone, or Kisei got found. And I mean, that's such a good Moonfall from Swaith. I really thought maybe they turn here, but there's just no follow-up. There's absolutely no follow-up, and this is Baron that goes away to the side of Peace, and it feels like it's going to be pretty rudimentary now, Skimmy, to really execute with this Rise and possibly play the 4-1, even the 1-3-1, and see what they can take and what they can break with this Baron.
Up by 5,000 gold, and this is how the play all started. It's just Kisei blind checking on vision, looking for the taunt, and I mean, that's the run back play they've done all game long.
And it was actually Kisei that wanted Alodoric there, and I talk about Swaith's Moonfall, right? It's so good, but there's no follow-up. Like, Lived isn't there yet, and Boma can't do any meaningful damage through there, and it's just a little disjointed from the Chiefs. When you draft a composition like this, you can't be disjointed, right? Your buttons need to be layered together, layered to perfection, and at the moment, it's not being layered very well.
Babip connected with the Sonic Wave. Once again, there is the Alodoric follow-up, and there's the Galio engage and force it being a 3v2, but that's not going to stop Peace. They jump in, Gordring spin it around and get some health back. There is that shutdown, but Alodoric takes out Swaith again, and now can Violet pop off? Well, he certainly can, because he didn't have to even use the Feather Storm. They want more, and they may as well find it, with respawn time is now being 40 seconds.
It looks like they're just going to reset, possibly play for the next Dragon, play for... why not? They've probably got so much gold sitting in their pockets, they don't feel the need to really accelerate this game. Like I said before, as we see the gold here, Peace, in terms of scaling, they're fine, right? If they play the game to their, I guess, their measures in terms of hitting Rise in a side lane, sitting Appy in a side lane, then they're going to be perfectly fine. Violet is only going to get stronger. You know, your traditional crit 80 carry is obviously going to scale a lot better into the game than the Ezreal, and I mean, Violet has already well and truly scaled. Just look at the gold difference. Mboma sitting on 8k, Violet sitting on 12, so there's already a 4k difference in that department.
insane comparison, but it is sort of the highlight, the bread and butter here for the Peace squad. We've always been so impressed by their bot lane and what they can achieve, and they seem to really be inspired by this one. Finishing 5th in the regular split, not a prediction anybody would have really put out there, not to be expected. And they're going to have to run the entire lower bracket to try and get themselves back into those playoff finals. And this is a very strong start to tonight's best of 5. 25 seconds left on that Baron, and they do have mid and bot pushing.
Yeah, they might even look to dive here. I mean, we wouldn't even put it past Aladoric the way he's been pulling the Soul Flare, so maybe they look for it on the mid wave here.
Teasing Chiefs, seeing what they can find. Dragu says it's time to go in. He jumps in, but he can't even do anything. Other shot connects after he's dead. There's the Solar Flare right on Kisei's head. Hextech Ultimatum prevents him from charging away. Both go golden, but both will come out and then find the damage they need afterwards. Oh, Swave! What is that moonfall? That may be as big as it comes, but still, Juice, there is no follow-up. How much more can Swave do?
You can't do much more than that. I mean, you've landed a multi-man Diana ultimate, but again, I want to touch on is that if you have this composition from the Chiefs, you can't be reactive, and so I respect what Draku tried to do there, but everything after Draku's death is a reaction, right? They're the ones kiting back on the Ezreal, disengaging, going backwards, so that when Swathe goes forwards, there's no follow-up, right? Iboma can't arcane shift forward, he's in no strength to do so, you know, Liv doing his best to follow up, but he's getting zoned by multiple members, so just across the board, it's feels like the hill's a little bit too steep. You know, Devil's Advocate, maybe an alternate build path. Landing that Moonfall cleans up a couple members, right? Obviously hindsight's 2020, but you know, traditionally we see the Proto Belt into full AP, not necessarily, you know, the auto attack on hit build.
We still had a lot of damage, and Peace are looking to punish that side lane. Aladoric can't get an assist, but the two Crux core members of the side lane set up here for Peace work together, take down Liv. He's down for another 45 seconds. They've achieved themselves the Soul Point 2 off screen.
Now, there's one thing I don't know if I've asked you, Skimmy, but have you read the book?
Yeah, it's a good book. I do have the hard copy. It came out in all best-selling stores last week.
Yep. But it's only a 14-page book at the moment.
Yeah.
I heard they're thinking about expanding in the next series or the next title.
Yeah, I heard they left it on a bit of a cliffhanger on page 14. So I'm excited to see what they do announcing the sequel.
It's touch or go because I heard they may not make it. But
so
at
it
the moment,
depend on the sales, right? You know, depending on how this game goes and the rest of the story tonight.
At 14 pages though, there's a lot of value. There's more value in it, so it's a bargain if you ask me. It's a good purchase.
Certainly is.
We're talking about the Medjais, obviously. At 14 stacks, he's going to be worth it, but if he dies, it's not going to be worth it anymore. So I guess a bit of a volatile pickup, but I mean, game state is pretty favorable for Peace, so that even if he does die, reselling it, the value he loses isn't going to be too bad. But you know, at this point, Tally's just so strong, and he's just not even gone a tier item. He hasn't even gone the Seraphs. He's over it.
And that's the most wild thing about it all, right? It's just outdated and overrated, and maybe Draku's just going to fall on down for that.
And long have we waited. Tally activated.
Yeah, it certainly is. That's just music to my ears, Juve. It's beautiful, poetic, and harmonious, really, for the performance that Peace have put on in. All members holding hands, they jump through the realm warp straight onto the Baron, and that may just be gone in 10 seconds.
It feels like for Chiefs to really win this game from here, they needed to steal this Baron, or at least contest it. You know, obviously not in a shape to do so with Draku being down, no flash on Diana to get into the pit. Because, I mean, you pick up that Baron, maybe Liv can do something here, but it's pretty methodical from Peace, right? It was a bit of a rough start to the game, you know, topside getting punished pretty heavily. But, I mean, once they wrangled control of the game, utilized Aladoric and Babip kind of pairing together, it has been pretty slow, pretty methodical. Obviously, the Soul's being picked up, but, you know, it's just been a solid performance across the board. You know, everyone pulling their weight come mid-game.
So he has, and you know, I'll say it again, right? This has been the big focal point for this series. It is a lower bracket run, it's do or die. We were wondering what the draft would present us here in game one. A bit of a curveball, you'd say, not the stereotypical style here for Chiefs, but definitely some comforts across the board for them. But that first 15 minutes, it is crucial. Chiefs found success topside. And ever since then, you know, Liv hasn't really had the true invitation to accelerate and pop off as a free-item Jack should.
And they're just playing 5-man, Skimmy. They've had enough. They're not even going to try and play 4-1. Just play the 5-man.
Might be the final nail in the coffin here, as Swaif has been tagged, but Drake with the focus once again. So much CC on towards Appy, who somehow has 9 lives and can literally just press a basic ability to run away from that one. Another minute and 40 seconds, so Peace certainly aren't pressed for time. They can reset, they can TP back in with a full HP bar. They've got mid inhibitor already down, so there's some supers pushing for glory. And they might now just turn their attention on towards Lift. 1v5, they're going towards him. He hits the counter strike. There's another Moonfall, follow things up. Violet's already burnt that Featherstorm, looking to try and flash away. Both flashing away, but Lift chases, but he will not find him. Violet's a little bit too good on this Zarya, and that's now going to be Mboma, forced to flash away into a wave that just does not exist. There is the ace, it's a perfect one, not a single member of Peace falling on down. And at 33 minutes into this one, Peace mean business and start this series with a win.
Yeah, I dare say we're in for an exciting series, Skimmy. I mean, if this is the Peace that we're going to get for the whole series, you know, there's obviously more in the tank for the Chiefs. So they've been one of our best teams all year, so they're going to go back to the drawing board. You know, I think tweak a few things in the draft, but to start this one off, what a game.
What a game indeed, and perhaps a reminder for many at home that had sort of lost faith in the old Peace squad of what they sort of have achieved and what is expected of them. But I think that's a strong game, and I think if we've learned anything tonight, game one can be huge for the mental of these teams and sort of how it can dictate the series as a whole. So I'm keen to hear your thoughts on that one, Mac, because it was a game that certainly had polarizing sides to it the first 10-15, but after that, Peace just a little bit too good.
Yeah, it seemed like that. It was slow and steady, but eventually, you know, Peace did manage to start to fire on all guns. I was a little bit worried for them because Chiefs were coming out of the gate swinging. Yeah. Had a very good lead. I think they were about like 2 or 3k gold ahead at some point there before the swing managed to go back in the other way. I think it was like 8 or 10k diff right towards the end, and a team fight that obviously won them the game, but at that point they knew that they could do it. They have the experience to know exactly when to pull the trigger, and it worked out wonderfully for Peace. But alas, there is still a couple of games left for Chiefs to maybe try to turn the tides back in their favor. But for now, it is just some very good signs that Peace came to play here in playoffs.
Yeah, and I mean, it's funnily enough, it's the Babip and Aladoric show in the early game, right? I mean, we didn't get to see much of them in the regular season because they kind of were swapped out at different times. They tried stuff with their roster, but in this particular game, you have to say, when they needed to step up, when they needed, you know, to step up for Peace, the Peace fans, they've really done a number. I mean, this game was, you know, to a T, pretty perfect from them in the early game as a duo, and then everyone else just kind of jumped on board and said, you know what, we'll be on for the ride and we'll take over come mid-game, and that's where we sort of saw Tally and Violet really just start to take over in these like 24, 25-minute skirmishes where their champions really came online.
Yeah, and it's great to see because we have mentioned it a few times this season where you'd usually be looking to Violet to carry the boys. It seems like he's had a couple of sleeper games, but this certainly was not one of them. But did he even die towards the end, or was it a perfect game to kick off the series?
He did not die. He did not die. He was possessed. Yep.
Man is absolutely insane there, just going back to one of his old favourite champs. And good to see that one finally saved up for finals. But are we going to see that go through the next draft? I guess that's a question that we can have answered in the next game. But for now, let's talk this one. Look at the damage on both sides of the rift here. Even though Chiefs went down, they did not go down without swinging. The most damage obviously done there by Diana, so Swaith just really getting into the mix, but unfortunately it did not convert into the W for Chiefs.
It wasn't, because the reason that it looks good is it wasn't a bad game from Chiefs. Yeah. Just compositionally, they lose at a certain point. Like, if you don't execute properly, you lose. Their comp is far less forgiving than Pieces in terms of execution. Like, you need to layer certain things for it to work. They didn't, but at points in the game, they did. And that's why we kind of had these backwards and forwards early, but once Peace got the lead, it was as good as done, right?
I'd be curious, Juice, if they didn't have Ezreal, if they had a double support protecting, you know, a hyper carry, right, something along the lines of an Aphelios or Kog'Maw, whether or not we'd have a different situation, because it felt like at times, you know, Swaith is jumping on in, saying, I'm insanely fed. You saw it from the damage graph breakdown there, but, you know, how much more could he do? It felt like the Ezreal would sort of hit that check mark of, I need to get ahead early, cool, I'm there, I've got my 2 item spikes, fantastic. Wait, Zaya has 60% critical strike, I'm meaningless now. So I'd be curious. I feel like I saw enough from Chiefs to say that this is going to be a big series, but yeah, maybe a few tweaks in the draft.
Look, Skimmy, you're not meaningless. You mean something to me. But look, before we do get into Game 2, of course, it is going to be another break. Exclamation playlist in chat to listen to all the sick music we've had from Warner. Today, of course, you've heard it before. It's Bluffin' by Creed the Kid featuring Mason Dane. But Game 2 on the other side of this break.
More damage off in this team fight. And again,
we're back to live, and it starts once again with a man on Leona. Solarflare goes out, Kisei Blast going from Sails to safety, and Wasp and Xenoflame won't connect. The hot shot certainly will. Moonfall is huge from Swaith again! But these Zonias are causing him on towards left. 1v5, they're going towards him. He hits the counter-strike. There's another Moonfall, follow things up. Violet's already burned that Featherstorm. Looking to try and flash away. Both flashing away, but Liv chases, but he will not find him. Violet's a little bit too good on this Zaya, and that's now going to be Mboma, forced to flash away.
Cause I know the way that you do, yeah. Cause I know the way that you do, Cause I know the way, cause I know the way that you do.
Don't tell me lies, you wouldn't survive denying the truth. Go pick your side and stay on my way, I don't gotta prove. Nothing, they think I'm bluffing, yeah. But they selfish, I stand my back and run it up. Don't tell me lies, you wouldn't survive denying the truth. Go pick your side and stay on my way, I don't gotta prove. Nothing, they think I'm bluffing, yeah. They selfish, I stand my back and run it up. End of the day, it's gonna be okay, and that is enough. It seemed like drama always seemed to follow. End of the day, it's gonna be okay, and that is enough. But I'm staying true and real wherever I pour a cup, we raise it up. Another one, I'm done with trust. Can't turn my back, stay grounded. We see them people doubt it. Got flows, they too melodic. One more, but they done got it. Stay in my lane like Robin. We bring that rap like Titans. I'm way past all that fighting. I'm done with all that nonsense. I turn to shine and use our knowledge and abuse. This beat and spew the truth. I'm fucking sick of you. Don't tell me lies, you wouldn't survive denying the truth. Go pick your side and stay on my way, I don't gotta prove. Nothing, they think I'm bluffing, yeah. But they selfish, I stand my back and run it up. Don't tell me lies, you wouldn't survive denying the truth. Go pick your side and stay on my way, I don't gotta prove. Nothing, they think I'm bluffing, yeah. They selfish, I stand my back and run it up.
I can see you once and you won't survive out here in the cold. They keep telling lies so the next surprise and they do you wrong. If you got something to hide from all of my guys, I don't wanna know. Say she down to earth, but she always high, she blowing my phone up. She too wild, can't control her. They all wanna know us. I put that boy on a poster. We grew up with no love. Look around and had to grow up. Now it's time to go up. Don't be talking from below us. Yeah, I call your bluff. Think that I won't. Aim in the heads and I come for your throat. Again and again and again till he broke. I give him a verse and I'm giving him hope. They want me to do it for free, I say no. That costs a fee and they broke.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for Game 2 in the series. Of course, if you weren't here for Game 1, we did swap casters over. We've got two much more handsome, beautiful, strapping, younger casters here, Jubes and Skimmy. How you doing?
I'm probably the oldest, aren't I?
Oh, I think I'm older than you. I guess out of the casters, maybe?
Well, I'm 27, so...
I'm 27 as well.
Well, I'm 29, so... Ooh,
what is Young Bucks?
Mate, you don't look a day over 28.
What if I do this, and then you see all of my forehead wrinkles? Like this, hey? Is it... What if I... You've got... I'm hairy. It's like...
Oh.
You know, it's just... It all comes with the age, you know. We're talking about brilliant genetics that only had earlier on with Rusty, and this is. I'm on the other side of the spectrum.
It's only downhill from here with us on it.
That's it. So look, however, broadcast still on the come up because we've got at least 2 more games, and hopefully they are going to be extremely exciting. But before we jump into Champ Select, what do you think Chiefs are probably going to try to lean towards, I guess, in terms of the draft to try to change things up here?
I think it's got to be the same, what we touched on in Champion Select, right? Game 1, they tried something, didn't necessarily work out. I think they should just flip the script, pick a volatile mid matchup, create that jungle mid tension, if you want to call it that, and go back to kind of what's worked for you all year. Not to say Liv didn't play well. Liv played fantastic, but I feel like Liv can still play fantastic without the resources. Liv can still have a blinder without having the emphasis. But, you know, maybe other members... Kisei with a lead is going to have a blinder and probably 1v9, and I think that's the difference.
What if we see a little bit of trend back in the mix? We only got to see that one game of it during the season. Would it be something that could work here in playoffs?
I think it's very real. It's a possibility. I feel like this game is going to have, many twists and turns. This series, I should say, it's going to have lots of twists and turns with so many pocket picks between them. We've seen it work in a best-of-1 format. It can certainly cause headaches in a best-of-5, right? It's a game taken away. It's a potential ban that has to then get considered, right? With limited resources and metas and all the rest of it. I think it's certainly one for discussion. I feel there's a lot of champions that are under the hood and just waiting for a moment to shine.
Now, before we do jump into Champ Select, I have a message for you, Skimmy, from Elfman in Discord. He said, I feel bad for forgetting his name. His name's Skimmy. But I love the caster on the left. He looks so fresh and bogan. Just a real lad. So.
Yeah, I did see that getting copy-pasted. Yeah. No, but unfortunately, I don't think it's about me. I think it's about Juice, is it not?
Me?
Yeah.
People forgot me.
You're a real lad.
Dude, firstly, let me just say, there was a tournament that used to exist, and it was called Rift Rivals. I literally won it for our country, our region. No. I won it. We didn't win, but I won it, if that makes sense, because I got let down. But anyway, you can't forget that ever.
And on that note, let's jump into Champ Select.
Well,
anyway.
That was the past, this is the future, and you're here with me, as opposed to there on the drafting screen.
Mate, I don't even think it's the past. That's prehistoric. Dinosaurs existed back then.
Yeah,
well,
here we are. Yeah, peace. 1-0 in this series so far. What a fantastic start from them. They're going to open up things exactly the same as well. They're going to go for the Lee Sin first pick, whereas Chiefs already right at the bat are going to keep their Nautilus, but going to pivot away from the Ezreal and instead go for the Ziggs, which I think is a much stronger initial pick.
Yeah, Ziggs is a very good pick, right? But we're seeing a lot of counterplay to the Ziggs now, in the sense of in the likes of the Xerath. I mean, we touched on this way earlier in the year, and we wanted to see kind of these like niche champions that fare very well into the Ziggs, that can have the same impact as the Ziggs in terms of the damage and the range and playing the mid game fights. And I even was going to suggest maybe Sivir. Obviously, Sivir's not a hot property right now, but it does deny a lot of what Ziggs offers in team fights.
Yeah.
But they've just decided to go for the Tristana. Reason being is because you have the go button, right? Like, yeah, Ziggs plays at range, but you can also just gap close, like, you have the double, like the reset, the double hop, like...
You're playing whack-a-mole.
Yeah,
you're just jumping on in, getting resets, and maybe tapping into some of the magic that EG Danny did over in America, right? With the denial.
What's it called? You're just Goomba stomping the...
Goomba stomping, yeah.
Yeah, Goomba stomping the Ziggs head.
Yeah, you're just popping on his head and taking the rat out of the game. Well, I mean, Tristana's a pick that we've barely seen, right? It has been played a fair bit over in Europe, but we were always wondering when this pick would come back to the Oceanic shores. It was a pick that certainly the likes of Praetor and Violet really were very comfortable on the split one, but it's good to see it's come back here again. I was wondering if we would get the Civic, because both AD carries have played it. Only one game to really talk about, but it's been a pick, Juves, that you've been teasing for many weeks now, saying when would it come back, because there have been some very valid cases for it.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, you know, Violet's probably the player to do it, as there's the man on camera. It's good timing. But the Rakan's the interesting pick for me, because traditionally we don't see Rakan picked into the Nautilus, because the Nautilus does do pretty well into the Rakan. You can deny the engage, but also, you know, if Rakan engages on you, you get the Aftershock proc if you're able to, you know, use the Nautilus ultimate or any form of CC, and then you kind of just are able to turn the engage normally. But I mean, a lot of Rakan players are just so confident to take the less than favorable lane, because they know, you know, at level 6, like, you're out of the lane anyway, right? And you're just influencing the map. And Rakan as a champion, as a playmaking champion, arguably the best in the game in terms of actually starting something and picking a target.
Yeah, and I think we've all seen the highlight reels of what Alador can do in this champion. Certainly one of the people that rose to the top very early on. This would be interesting, and it certainly is actually getting locked in. It's going to be a Lulu. Now, you know, we've had the metas where it has been all about the mid laners, be it a Lulu, be it a Karma, and so on. Funnily enough, across the entire split here, Lulu has been the most banned champion by Chiefs at 67%, but it's fallen through the cracks here today. And I would imagine that is a mid Lulu supported by a what's going to be a hyper carry Xin Zhao.
I'll tell you what. I like both drafts, right? Like, let me just, because the way that Chiefs operate and the way that Chiefs play the game, it's a good draft for them. But I really love the Peace draft. I'm a massive fan of the Lulu mid with the Xin Zhao. Previous seasons, Cuz duoed with a Lulu one trick and just Lulu Xin Zhao to rank 1. No joke. Just infinite wins. Because Lulu, you know, doesn't generate the most priority in some lanes, but you're able, because you're the enchanter, you're able to sack CS to just follow the Xin Zhao up. And in the 2v2, it's just so impossible to skirmish against the CC from the Lulu, the shields, the healing, and the wild growth. So I mean, it's so volatile and so potent. But the answer from the Chiefs with the Trundle isn't bad either, right? Trundle into Xin Zhao is a good matchup. So I'm excited to see how this plays out. The Camille lockdown for the Ziggs Mega Inferno Bomb. They have Kisei as an option for the side lane. So I think both drafts have some very obvious and good win conditions. But I'm always like, whenever I see Xin Lulu, I just get super excited.
Yeah, I think for good reason too, because we know, well, based on sort of what Game 1 presented to us, right? Beba literally jumping in, never getting punished for it, and falling down quite sparingly. It's going to empower him the ability to continue to roam and look for plays. It's going to obviously allow the likes of Violet to jump in and not feel threatened. If he goes for a rocket jump, he's just going to get one shot, right? Or like absolutely collapsed upon by a hook shot or a Trundle pillar. So I think it's definitely opened up a lot of options here in this draft, and it's a pick that we've not really seen in a hot few minutes, right? We were talking about mid lane being this big focus now on hyper carries and, you know, mobility with the rises, TFs and Gallios, but it's good to sort of see, much like fashion, we've cycled back. We've gone a little bit hipster, right? We've gone back to what's worked for many weeks.
Well, and it's funny because Peace for Game 1 went for what works in many weeks, and now we're seeing something that didn't necessarily work, right? We didn't get to see much of the Lulu Xin Zhao. You know, Lee Sin topside, sure, that's been nerfed as well. So I feel like we've been thrown a little bit of a curveball from Peace with that one game cushion, with that one game buffer, right? Whereas you look at the side of the Chiefs, that you know, we touched it. That's what works. This is comfort. We're down one game because you know, if you're Chiefs, you really want to win this one. I mean, obviously, you don't want to lose any games, but in the sense that if you go down 2-0, the pressure is immense. And you can really crumble when it comes to Game 3s, rather.
So you can. It's a lot of pressure to talk about. And actually, let's just go to the horse's mouth and ask the questions directly to the man known as Midlaw. Midlaw, welcome back. You're in the playoffs. You've managed to make it here. Maybe not in a position you would have hoped for in 5th, but it was a strong end to the split. You almost captured a little bit of sort of that split 1 form, but how would you rate your performance as a whole in comparison?
Like everybody's come back from the best behavior or something, and they can do better than before. So we can do the best in this playoff.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a tall order, right? Running the entire lower bracket, no second chances. Interesting stat that I found out about both teams. You faced Chiefs 6 times this year and won on 5 occasions. So we've highlighted how strong the mechanics are in the early game is, but do you think there's a different advantage that you have over the Chiefs?
Yeah, I think so. They have better team fights, but we have better mechanics.
And it's just as simple as that.
Yeah.
Oh,
And it's the
interesting.
draft
Okay,
gap.
well, of course, mate. I mean, with a name like Draftlord, we've read your book. It's a bestseller. Maybe not as good as the Magi's, but certainly up there. Finally, mate, talk about the draft. We saw a strong start from you guys in game number 1. What about the fact that Tally is back on the Enchanters? It seems so devastatingly strong. Lulu and a Xin together.
Yeah, so confident of this that they played last year in Legacy, the year before last year.
So just using what works and hopefully getting the 2-0.
Yeah.
All right, beautiful. Well, Midlord, I'll leave you to it. I'm sure you got numbers to run, calculations to perform, and big brain maneuvers to operate. So we're going to crack on with this game, and I wish you guys the best of luck in this best of 5.
Sure, see you.
That was such a nice solo kill from Appy. And to the blind eye, it kind of looks like what was Liv doing. But the thing that Appy did very well there was watch the minion. You see that minion that's low? He uses that as bait because he knows he's going to hit level 2. And so he uses the Tempest to hit level 2, land the instant Q, and then ultimately kill Liv. It was just a nice little kind of push, but using the AoE of the Lee Sin to get that level 2 first and pick up the solo kill.
Nice little pick up there, and it's going to make life a little bit easier here for Appy this time around, as opposed to having to really buy out some protection from the rest of his team to salvage some kills later into this one, and by the 15-minute mark, still a fraction relevant. He is going to be in a bit of trouble now, forced to safeguard and flash, paying respect to that pillar.
Yeah, and I mean, Lee Sin's very mobile, so having that flash burnt, it's obviously not great, but you know, if he's pretty diligent with his safeguards, then he should be fine. But this is what's tough, right? You know, level 1 when you were doing coach's interview, Peace and Aladoric, I was gonna say. Violet and Aladoric just literally all in, right? The Tristana started rocket jump, jumped in, Aladoric went forward, they burnt in Boma's flash, and now, I mean, look at the CS lead already, right? That Violet and Aladoric have already got in this bot side of the map, and you'd imagine, you know, when Babib hits level 6 or when Tally gets a little bit of agency, it's just going to be a bot dive onto Mboma.
Yeah, just look how much range they have between those two as well as Zinzao, right? When becomes lightning, the ability for Ziggs to try and position himself, perhaps with a nice little satchel charge, it's just not going to be enough. Very vulnerable. Now he has no flash, so certainly a window in which Peace can look to try and capitalize on, but feels like they sort of just early on set the terms and conditions and said this is how the lane's going to play out, and good luck.
Yep, and well, you would imagine that the range advantage would be on the side of the Chiefs though, right? Like that's why you've drafted the Ziggs, but like we said in Champs League, it's not enough. It's just not enough. They have so much mobility with the Rakan and the Tristana. And Kisei might be in trouble, but he's playing pretty respectfully. And so far this lane for Tally's gone quite well. I mean, he's up CS. He traded very well in the early levels, right? Ryze obviously scales with levels, scales with items, and Lulu is one of those champions where at level 1 is so strong with the Aerie, and if you're ever trading auto attacks, you're probably going to come out worse for wear, and that's kind of what happened with Kisei, and Tally's had control of the lane ever since.
Yeah, he's found some good trading patterns here with the Corrupting Potion to go toe-to-toe so far. There's the TP, the kick to start things off, the Sonic Wave there for the execution damage, and the Audacious Charge to be just a fraction clean, but not clean enough because he's fallen on down. Lived has survived. Appy would have to trade himself if not out of tower range. No, he's going to fall on down. Chiefs have backed himself. Oh, the pillar! Oh, Swaif! That is a pillar that will get you a DoorDash deliver.
Yeah, that's a pillar. That's the pillar that is just. It's a mechanical masterclass, isn't it? It sounds funny to say, but it's a trundle, and you're like, wow, the mechanics on the pillar. You know what I mean?
It sounds like if you didn't see the play, you'd be like, what are these casters on about? Hey,
because you got to get the timing, you got to get the angle, you got to get everything, and he's done that to perfection. Now the play obviously turns out to be a bit of a keck W from Babip and Appy, but Tally getting cancelled is ultimately what cost them on that play. So you're more angry at your mid laner, like channeling TP in a place where he shouldn't be. Ryze did flash in mid lane. I just saw the flash to cancel that teleport. So it's good heads up play from Kisei. So again, Kisei from the mid lane having a bit of an influence on his top dive.
Let's watch that one more time. Slow-mo because the producer is smurfing, and it's off. It is clean. Back to live and back to bot lane where, well, the situation hasn't really picked up here for the Chiefs. There is still Violet ahead by 20 CS. He's got level 6 right now. Very keen to fight, and that's why they're going to start the first Dragon.
And to be honest, bot lane's not in a great spot for the Chiefs, but if there's ever a champion in which you can afford to be behind on, it's actually Ziggs. Because once you pick up that Leandri's or the whatever route you're opting in for, the damage that you're going to output just only gets better, it scales, and I mean, you're still able to influence a team fight, especially if you land a multi-man Mega Inferno Bomb. It's always going to hurt no matter what deficit you're in. So it's genuinely not the end of the world bot side unless this happens, right? Unless you're getting forced off turret, you're getting dove and you're losing plates. But if they can sustain a 20 CS deficit at worst, then they should be okay.
So it should be. We know what a Ziggs can do, depending on which build he goes for, be it Leandri's or the Luden's. Certainly has a lot of power available to him once the Mega Inferno Bomb is there to use, trim the waves. Maybe stall out the tempo a fraction, but also be an absolute nuisance for sieging when a team is looking to try and snowball. And that's what Peace are trying to do so far, but it isn't without Draku trying to answer back. He hits the hook and gets the Aftershock proc, so he doesn't really take too much damage in that exchange.
It's Draku just trying to flex muscles in lane a little bit, but you really want to be doing that when there's minions, because the idea for Chiefs and how they kind of stop this from happening is if they can play in the wave, if they can clear the wave before it hits turret, or at least trim, then they're going to take less turret damage. But if you're proccing your Aftershock, using your trading ability, for nothing, just for a little bit of a tap, then you're still going to take turret damage and ultimately going to end up losing it.
Well, certainly feels like the war of attrition is being won here by the Peace bot lane, both through the damage as well as the sustain that they have. And it isn't without Babbitt acting as a constant reminder. If you look to shove the wave just a fraction too much, you will pay the ultimate price, and that is falling on down. Chiefs going to make a counterplay of their own with both towers fragile. Chiefs might get ahead here with a Herald Summon.
Yeah. And do they hold this? That's it. Maybe an int teleport.
Certainly could be. The charm straight away, and Boma's come on in, trim the wave with the ultimate, and what could have been an int ultimate ends up being a beautiful outplay.
That's just a big brain Ziggs play, right? I mean, the biggest of brains, and they get 2 turrets off this because Trundle is going to take this one down. Yeah. One of the quickest turret takers in the game.
Can they follow things up though? Draco has nothing left. Kisse has no flash. Burner already before. So I'll hold the excitement. Yeah. It's a nice little play from Chiefs though. As a result, nearly find themselves up by 2,000 gold.
Yeah, they've kind of blown the game open, right? I mean, they've probably got leads in the jungle, lead top side of the map now. And Boma's definitely down gold. But the crucial thing is picked up a kill and they actually saved the turret. So he gets a little bit of a breather from the pressure that the Tristana and the Rakan were putting on. And you know what? Maybe they felt a little bit of pressure to make that top dive, or sorry, that bot dive rather, because what was happening top side to Appy.
We certainly have seen our fair share of cross-map plays and feeling that, well, if someone's doing something, we need to answer back. And unfortunately for Peace, all the good work seems to have not been undone because the CS disadvantage is still quite huge in the bot lane, but certainly feels like Chiefs are happy to take that trade and aren't going to be too concerned about how strong the Tristana is just yet. They should have some strong answers towards it. You're looking at the Rise, the Trundle, as well as the Camille. Plenty of damage they can subtract away from it.
The Tristana can't match the relative strength of the Trundle and the Camille at the moment, right? Because they've got the Once Unders, they've got completed items, and Tristana's sitting on components. Well, she's still got a lot of burst, and she'll be able to, kill the Tristana, probably kill the Rise. It's just not enough if there was ever like a full-blown 4v4, 5v5.
Yeah, certainly needs that Mythic item completed before we can really look to try and be advantageous. Love to see a Kraken Slayer just go full damage and delete.
And the Sheen Bros are going to melt this turret.
Yeah, it's just gone. All the plates maximized. The turret with the extra armor. Still feeling pretty fragile there.
It's frozen topside, so I just took stock of top lane. And Appy had a very, very good freeze. And I believe it's still frozen. And so you can see he's actually getting a substantial CS lead over Liv. So they need to do something about this. It is slow pushing now, right? But it is going to go towards the side of the Chiefs. So Appy's kind of needs to push this one out, and it's going to be picked up by Appy. So it will close that distance in the CS a little bit, but it's actually given him, I guess, an EXP lead, a CS lead, And I get a little bit of value back for what they lost bot side, but not anything substantial, obviously, when you're considering, you know, they lost, what, 3 turret plates bot?
Yeah, it's still a tall ask for them to bounce back from that position of the amount of value that Chiefs were able to find with their Herald Summon, but happy when he does go back. We'll have a fair bit of gold to utilize and draw. That's a big wave to crash, so as a result, Peace are doing a nice little rotation topside for it.
But this is what you need to do. When you freeze for so long and you create a slow push like this and build waves, you need to force the dive.
Babbitt forced the flash away, hits the Crescent's guard, looking to try and make himself immune to that damage so far. The charm goes out. Appy, Lived, getting knocked up multiple times there. Can't play the video game. The hook will not hit terrain, so it won't get the reduced cooldown. And Peace looking to play for the crash wave, but Chiefs defending well.
And to be honest, that's a net gain for the side of Peace because you force those minions to go to waste. Like the Ziggs Mega Inferno Bomb picked up probably the majority of them,
TP
but
bot.
it's still... Yeah. It's still shared EXP and lost gold that could have been on Lived, right? Lived is now behind and in a pretty big deficit because of the macro that came out of Peace in that instance, right? So again, I want to reiterate, it was a freeze into a slow push, into a half dive that's denied Chiefs a little bit of gold.
There's an idea, and they'll need a few more ideas like that to try and claw. Pre-game interview that, look, if we get ourselves ahead in the early game, we should be comfortable enough to close it out mid to late. And I wonder if that will be a narrative that runs true in this series between these two teams.
Well, both teams want to do different things, right? Like when you pick the Ryze can team fight for sure, especially with the Everfrost. You know, you get that like little bit extra CC, more utility to actually participate in those fights. But for the most part, right, you don't want to be team fighting against the Tristana, Lulu, Xin Zhao, Lee Sin, Rakan. You know, do the mental math, doesn't make a lot of sense. But the Lulu can't match Ryze or Camille in the side lane for a very long time. You know, we're almost at that point where it is going to be harder and harder for Tally to sit under a turret. And then you start to generate your leads and win the game through a side lane, which Chiefs showed us they could do last week with the Twisted Fate and the Camille, if you remember. So the win condition is there, and Chiefs are in a good spot to make that one happen. It's up to Peace to force those 5v5s.
They certainly are keen for it. Beautiful kick away. Nice Hexagon ultimatum to try and buffer it a fraction longer, but with that many members keen to take you down, it's a kill spoon-fed across the Violet. He's first of the game, and fitting, because he's just picked up the Kraken Slayer too.
Yeah, and that was the beauty about it, right? They gave the kill across the Violet. But you know, what do they lose for this? They potentially lose mid-turret, and all of a sudden that kill's not worth it, and they do. So I mean, Chiefs, if you run the numbers, they do break bot turret, so it's an even trade. But I was going to say, before that turret went down, it's a good trade from the side of Chiefs.
Does still feel like Peace are trading up though, because what was a 2,000 gold lead for the Chiefs is slowly being taken back. They're finding their moments, picking their battles.
And for me, like, you can't even compare those turrets falling down. Mid-turret creates so much pressure and gives you kind of like that safety line to fall back to, especially if you're trying to contest river vision. It's always nice to have your mid-turret up to fall back to because it's not far and it's just that little bit extra safety. But Peace don't have that anymore. So if they ever want to contest mid-wave, they're in a little bit of danger, right? They're in danger of the Camille flank, the Pillar, you know, the Ryze flank. So that's a big win for the Chiefs, taking down that mid-turret.
Makes it a little bit easier now for them to force their hand with the round warp and all the other displacement tools that they have available, especially for face checking. Going to be quite hard for Peace to want to do that. Have themselves a few tools to get in, get out, and not feel too threatened by it, but certainly Chiefs will be comfortable with that mid-map exposed.
Now, the thing that I guess maybe the concern I have is that, let's say this game stalls out for a little bit, right? Trade dragons, whatever, maybe trade a couple turrets, but there's no real ensuing fight or skirmish. The Peace have passively bought the game back just through CS, right? Like, they're passively they're down 700 gold now. It's going to balloon out a little bit more because this turret will fall.
Yeah.
But my concern is that when Violet gets the Wit's End, he denies 2 big components of your composition, and then he's easily able to kite the Trundle. So the real only threat is the Camille. And, you know, with the Lulu, can you shut him down?
But it becomes an interesting discussion as to what becomes the target focus for the Chiefs. as we saw a double support played by them beforehand. Now it's the double support on the side of Peace. It's a case of, do you take down the Lulu first of all, or do Peace always jump the foot, go on the front foot and force you to basically play front to back? Because that's what I'm curious on with how Violet can navigate these battles. If he is just going to get locked in place with CC and Wild Growth just won't be enough.
Yeah, maybe. Obviously, the Ziggs is still going to do damage, the Rise is still going to do damage, but does it just give him that little bit extra survivability that he needs to create some space? So time will tell. I mean, it does look like the type of game that's shaping up to be the Violet show or the Lived and Kisei show, right? So again, pretty much what we've seen from both these teams majority of the year, obviously with a few weeks here and there. So yeah, I like how we're shaping up, to both teams' identities.
Yeah, certainly not short of answers as to how they can look to try and play this one and have a few responses prepared in case the game doesn't play according to their plan. You touched on the fact that they've played a global comp similar to this before, right? It's not going to be the Twisted Fate, but it will be the Rise, which is a semi-global to the same extent. So kind of how Kuden put it, right? Chuck Kisei in the deep end and say, we need to play macro.
And there we go.
We're going to jump on in. It's Aladoric first of all, the hook to knock things up, and it continues to be bounced up like you would not believe. Not a fun time for Babbitt, who's forced to flash away from the satchel charge. Min-maxing his positioning to not get hit by the bomb. And that's a second realm warp.
Yeah.
That support has just decided it's my time to shine.
Yeah, very, very questionable. I mean, you can't really... I guess what is it? Maybe he shouldn't have taken it. Did he have time to walk out? Who knows? The thing you need to consider when so much is happening, there's a skirmish that's taking place. You're not really looking at the ground where your character is. So sometimes you do get a little bit debated by your mid laner. So we'll pencil that one down to miscommunication.
Look, I think maybe we can actually spawn on the entire discussion. That will probably divide Twitch chat over this. Is it the Rise players' fault or is it the support players? Because we've seen twice now where people are saying, is my mid laner just trolling me?
We'll see the answers in Twitch chat, so feel free to drop them in there. But I mean, we're seeing the strength of the Peace composition, right? Grouping up around these dragons, using the Xin Zhao and the Lulu. The interesting interaction that I wanted to touch on was, if Mboma's ultimate did damage, maybe they turned that, because I think Babib could have fallen down, but the Xin Zhao, with, utilizing that ultimate, just denied all of the follow-up damage. And again, Chief's still in a lead, but their bread and butter isn't to team fight there.
But they did do the handshake or summoning the Herald whilst Dragon was looking preoccupied. They didn't manage to take down the mid tier 2, but they certainly got a fair chunk towards it. So
excuse me, the one thing Tally's done very well for me is farm. Enchanter mid laners don't necessarily keep up well in CS because they're sacking and grouping, or they're just getting bullied out of a side lane. But I mean, he's even with Kisei.
I'd imagine though we're going to see 2 items completed for him, and it's probably going to drop off afterwards, right? The fact that he no longer needs to answer to these waves, that he literally can just walk around as a babysitter for Violet. So whilst it's impressive in isolation, I think once he's hit that ardent sensor, there might not be any more need for him to play, as you can see him right now.
Yeah, you've done your job at that point. And I mean, look at the respect from Violet. He's literally standing on his 2-2 turret because he knows he's like the weak part of the map. And I mean, this is what happens when you lose your mid turret. You just need to do this. There's no vision, there's no control. They have no information bot side of the map around their red buff. So it's just good disciplined play at the moment. I mean, from both teams. Because the same thing's happening with Kisei. So it's a lot of respect at the moment, and you can feel the tension in this game, right? It's just on a knife's edge because you feel like the first team fight to win the game, I feel like just wins the game.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a blanket statement, but if Chiefs win the next team fight, they get the Baron and they can't stop the 1-3-1. Whereas Peace get it, you can't stop them from forcing 5v5 down mid.
And I feel like both teams have been testing each other as to how they can use their TPs, right? Because we've got 3 TPs, even the bot lane is getting on board that ship of excitement for what it can offer. So whilst we've only got 6 combined kills this game, far less than what game 1 offered us. Different drafts, but just a different identity of how they want to play things out.
Yeah, definitely. I'd love to know, I'd love to know how much gold Violet had. Because I think he's well and truly due to go home.
Maybe that was the wave.
Yeah, he's out past curfew, if you're asking me. Needs to go home.
But he's got the wit's end. He's ready to rock and roll now. 2-item power spike. And it's just Rocket jumping in straight away. TP's in, had enough of it. Alador looks for the charm. He's just gone. Kisei deleted Polymorph. And it is the Wild Growth on Debabbit who receives that exhaust, but it's a scary Zinzao. The bomb's just not enough. A double kill for Tally. Why is the Lulu getting the kills? You'll never know. But I tell you what, it's popping off and making it work. Not a member of Peace has fallen. They found free. Straight to Baron they go.
And that one was Violet pulling the trigger, but you can just see this comp from Peace. It just excels in contesting midways. It excels in 5v5s, and they're just so confident in pulling the trigger. I mean, this Baron, it looks like it's as good as gone.
Oh no, Swaif is looking for contest. He's burnt the flash. It didn't even go over into the red bit, and he's gone.
And you know, we did talk about this a few minutes ago. We said that first team fight to win the game, to win, or the first team to win a team fight, feels like they're going to win the game. Now, it is only a 2k gold lead, but I mean, now the Peace are just going to group on the Ardent Sensor Lulu, and they're just going to force down mid. So they're going to call your bluff. You know, Lived is going to try and sit in a side lane. Kisei is probably going to try and do the same. But I mean, you know, what are your options? What do? You have to fight them at their own game. It's just a nice pick here. Violet goes in, Aladoric follows, and then the communication for Violet to flash forward and finish that one off is pretty much signed, sealed, delivered. And the Lulu's in Zinzao, just diving turrets, not taking any damage. You love to see it.
What a scary composition though, right? I mean, it's not a Viego looking for those resets, but you could see just once they found that first kill, nobody's safe. They're just charging at you. You can't do anything about it. You can flash, but it just doesn't matter. It's a wasted cooldown by that point.
Yeah, and I mean, now we're just going to see the turrets drop like clockwork. Here you have the Zeeks, but Zeeks cannot clear Baron buff minions, so I mean, Maven, they're just going to play it methodically against Kimmy. You know, potentially I thought maybe we'll see them just sit in a lane, utilizing the full duration of the Baron, then fall back to the Dragon. But you know what? They know the game's going to go long enough that the Soul is going to be relevant, and it will be an Ocean. So why not just pick this one up, take the game slowly. We're not in danger of getting outscaled. And yeah, you know, maybe not what we're used to seeing from Peace. We're used to seeing them just forcing micro max, mechanics max. But yeah, a little bit of a slower game coming out of them, potentially.
It certainly is. It certainly feels like a case of them not taking any unnecessary risks, right? You know, we've sort of highlighted how close this matchup could be. It's a lower bracket run. They've not been in this position before, right? And we don't want to have to go into that next, 10-minute pause and discuss, well, you know, we got a little bit too ahead of ourselves. Our mechanics are good, but our ego was just unchecked.
Yeah.
And they put themselves in a situation where they can potentially now get 3 back-to-back Ocean Dragons with a Soul, with a double support setup. I mean, how much more sustain do you actually want?
Yeah, I mean, there's not much more you can get, really. I mean, you're checking the shop and you're almost out of options. Here we go, might be no flash.
Oh no, can't even hit the blast, going to disengage away from. They found one. Now can they find themselves a second kill with Drag, who's looking to try and run away. They pop the locket, but that won't be enough. Double kill for Violet, and this Tristana is starting to run the show.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, Skimmy, I mean, I've been in series like this. You know, when you're on the side of Chiefs, you're obviously still fighting in this game, and your full focus is to win this one, right? But also, you start to invest less in this game just from a mental sake, right? Just because you know there's another game coming up, right? No matter what happens in this game, you're playing another one. So you do start to kind of think about the next game, right? What are we going to do differently? And sometimes I've been in teams where you actually just have a bit of a conversation while you're defending inhibitors, because there's not much to do, right? You know you're going to lose your inhib. You know that the minions are going to come in. There's not much for you to contest. So I wonder if Chiefs are almost just having that conversation and trying to just decompress a little bit before next game.
And I'm always fascinated by that kind of discussion, right? Because it's almost like, are you saving mental not to get burnt out by the end result of a game that feels like it's really going against you? Or if you put all your eggs into this one and say, we need to win every single play that happens, despite how far we're down. It's a 5k lead that the Peace squad have.
You can look at it both sides, right? Because it's not a huge lead. It's not a massive lead, but in terms of draft and compositional gap, it's more than 5k, right? Like when your Tristana's disaccelerated and your Lulu's got, you know, 3 items,
sure.
You really do start to struggle to find the way back into the game, particularly when you have a 1-3-1 or 4-1 at least composition. So this is also a good choice, right? Potentially picking the weak side of the map, but you know they're going to take too long to kill him. Too much survivability. Blue trinkets as well to top that one off.
And I wonder if there's a world in which we can revisit the talking points of what Chiefs could do to try and come back into this one. Or is that ship, you know, well and truly sailed, do you think?
It's going to have to be a lot of peaks in side lanes. Like if Tally ever leaves his post or Appy walks a little bit too far up, then they need to generate a pick through that side lane, not utilizing too many cooldowns. Like ideally you keep the Camille ultimate for the Tristana, or you just Hail Mary, you win the fight at Dragon, because Ocean Soul will be spawning shortly, and you need to win that one. I mean, if you lose Ocean Soul versus this composition, I dare say you're not killing anyone.
I do wonder what it is going to be, because there's a potential phase check. Oh, but a single blue trinket completely spoils the party. Everybody was there. As you say, Ocean Soul in 90 seconds. Baron is spawning very shortly as well. And I mean, that is just the cherry on the top for a solid Game 2 piece performance.
Yeah, it's been very good. It's been very good. And that's just you know, again, it's kind of, I guess this is why we all tip Peace, right? Maybe not all of us. I can't remember. Oh, this is it though. This might be the pick.
This could be the pick they're looking for. Appy the focus. Appy flashing away and gets a shield as well.
Here we go.
Oh, but the bomb. It takes him out in the end.
Here we
That's
go.
a crucial shutdown. There's the Realm Warp. This time not a grief. There's Aladoric jumping on in. Three-man charm. Can they find the picks? Aladoric. Oh, Violet actually gets himself exhausted. He doesn't have a QSS, so he can't remove that debuff, but he doesn't seem to mind. He jumps on in, receives the wrath of a Camille jumping on through. Now got a lifesteal from some of these minions. As he comes out of Golden Stasis, he gets run down. Damage to dominate and damage to take down Chiefs to potentially put Peace 2-0 in the series.
And for me, we're just seeing draft, right? I mean, Lee Sin falls down for nothing. It's literally a 4v5. And the Lulu just plays on Violet. Tally plays on Violet. All the shields, all the heals. Doesn't even have a wild growth for him.
Whoa. He's just blindly flashed in. Whoa, he's just gonna, what?
Oh.
He may just fall on down. Can he get one all to win? No, he can't. He just gets chomped. He actually gets hit by a passive auto. Now that is the polarizing effects you can find yourself in, perhaps, when you are that far ahead. Rather than push, he's gone for the kills. But a TP from Appy and a pickup from Tally will turn things around.
And they still get the dragon. So I mean, it's like it's a turbo int from Violet, and I mean, I'm sure he'll admit that himself. But the objective still stays true. You know, this is what they wanted. This is what the skirmish was for, and they're able to pick up Ocean Soul.
Well, you put it as a bit of a checkmate situation here, Juice. If you got yourself the Ocean Soul, wait for the respawn of Violet, play for the Baron, maybe just deny the enemy blue as well. Take everything away, prevent any kind of comeback condition, and Boma won't be able to have the success of flinging out bombs left, right, and center. Put all your vision out top sides and play it to end.
Yeah, and I mean, even just like total gold, sure, that's one thing. You know, it's still within touching distance if you're hopeful. But I mean, the one thing you can't say as a stat in terms of gold is the EXP lead, right? In terms of EXP, I believe Lee Sin was up 2 levels or 1.5 at the very least, and it feels like across the board, at a minimum, they're up 1.5 levels, and it's just such a steep. Oh, and we got the level graph, absolutely turbo smoothing in the production department. I mean, it's just all blue. It's just across the board, all blue.
One last chance here.
He's not taking damage from Baron.
Yeah, and Baron definitely affects your champion. A TP, an Everfrost that does not find success, but has taken Peace off the Baron for the meantime. There's no inhibitors down, so they don't have to worry about supers crashing against him. Lane state so far seem to not be in the best states. Mid lane is looking to try and go back in Peace's favor as Aladoric does the dirty work, but now looking for the pick. There's the kick, lived in trouble. He doesn't have a stopwatch this time. He's going to hit the Hextech ultimatum, but only delaying the inevitable. First kill found by Violet. Realm to try and run away, but there's the redemption, and there's the heal as a double kill comes on through, and Violet might be looking to try and run them all down this time, but he's got a team to protect him. It won't be an int. It surely could be a play to end this game. Babip! Fantastic knockback with his ultimate. He wants to take down Nizigs. Violet waiting for that rocket jump, but it doesn't matter. 3 kills found, and respawn time is far too long to recover from.
Did he get the wave though, or do they have a minion? They got the cannon. This could be game, Skimmy. The cannon minion, the Ocean Soul, they will be able to tank this one up. Appy's not going to take any damage. The shields, the heals, the shields, the everything in between. Nexus falls down, the turret falls down. Open Nexus, and Violet's just playing for kills.
Soliers, he's going to burn that TP, winning that mental game, diving you in your fountain, sending a clear message. Peace, 2-0 in the lower bracket.
Yeah, and what's tough for me in this game is we saw two different styles from Peace, and they looked good playing both of them. And that's scary because Again, I can't remember a time we've seen this piece, Skimmy. I can't remember a recent time we've seen a piece this good because, again, to reiterate, they're coming up against the Chiefs who look like, for majority of the split, the best team in our competition.
They certainly did, and the first few weeks they were taking some big games from some big teams, right? But it felt like they hit a point where I don't want to say they plateaued because I feel like it's like unfair to say about them, but they certainly haven't hit the same heights that were sort of expected of them as a potential upset, a contender to really run right in that grand final to look forward to. But Mac, 2-0 on the night here so far, potentially back-to-back 3-0s.
Yeah, certainly is, and I'd be happy to see it because that means I get both my predictions right, and the comeback train is chugging, actually. Did Twitch chat go for Peace? I didn't actually catch it again.
They did.
They did? All right, well, I'm on the Peace bandwagon as well, so there you have it, and I'm set up for victory, so I will not be disappointed if that happens. However, I think Chiefs will be. They've played relatively well in game number 1. Game number 2, though, it feels like it was just the Peace train the whole damn time. You can see in the player cams there, a couple of the players maybe not enjoying how things went this game, and you guys said it during the cast, they might just be thinking about what's going to happen next game, because at this point, they need to make everything happen in Game 3 if they want to formulate a reverse sweep, because this is their LCO. This is their DoorDash LCO split 2 on the line right now.
There's a bit of a PogChat moment there from Liv, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was the dive, I think, the reactions for that. And I mean, this was the beginning of the end, right? This was the down for White. I think this play in the mid lane, and it's again off the back end of the bot lane. I mean, this is the Aladoric and Violet show today, it feels like. Violet featuring more in Game 2 than he did in Game 1, but it's been fantastic to watch because I feel like we missed it, that we missed having that real dominant bot lane that we got so used to seeing with Peace, and it feels like it's back.
Yeah. I hope we get to see a bit more of it in Game 3, and I honestly hope we get to see yet another different team comp because, going for the differences in it this time, it definitely still worked out for them. Maybe Chiefs planned to try to counterpick it, but whatever they did, it just was not quite enough. Peace's team play was just too damn good this game, and I'm expecting it to happen in Game 3, but at the same time, I don't want to get too ahead of myself because Chiefs is that team that has performed all season, probably one of the most consistent teams in the second split, rather. And I'm hoping that today just isn't their one-off day.
Well, a wise coach once told me that 2-0 is a very dangerous scoreline because if you sleep on the third game and you lose that 2-1, all of a sudden, you're only one game away from a reverse sweep, and then all of a sudden the pressure's on you. So this job isn't done if you're Peace. Chiefs, 2-0, nothing to lose now. That's a dangerous team. Chiefs are going to be dangerous coming into this third game.
Yeah, I think if you look at the damage breakdown here, it is going to be the Zig show for the most part. But I think Swaif, despite having that fantastic pillar, the idea of what it was meant to do to try and shut down this Tristana, it just didn't really get to blossom as much as they would have hoped for, right? I'd love seeing Swaif on these really oppressive, carry champions. We sort of Diana, most experience, most XP on the game, but, we've definitely seen in his back pocket the likes of Shyvana, who's got the Kayn, who's got the Evelyn. Hasn't been banned in this series so far. The time Kench has actually had the preference instead, given that both Lived and Drake who can play it. So I like the direction to ban that instead, but I'm wondering, given that Swaif has been a crucial factor for Chiefs' success, if he's going to bust out something crazy next game.
Yeah, you need to see as well that Lord Doms that was picked up was getting so much work done against the bruisery, tanky team comp the Chiefs did select there too. So great decision for the item selection there from Violet, and it's just one of those extra things that, cannot be overlooked. You can pick champs that counter other champs, but then if you don't build the right items, then all of a sudden, you're up the creek, aren't you? However, before we get to Game 3, make sure it is 9:30 p.m. It is probably too late for dinner, but if you haven't had your dinner, exclamation DoorDash. Exclamation DoorDash anyway to make yourself, a bit of dinner, a bit of dessert. When I say make yourself, I mean, obviously you get it delivered to you. Someone else makes it for you, but it's pretty much the same thing because you're eating no matter what. So make sure you get that done. Exclamation playlist in the chat to listen to all the sick tunes provided by Warner this split. But we got at least one more game coming up, and ladies and gentlemen, there's another break before we get to it. So Chiefs and Peace will continue just after this.
Out of options. Here we go. Might be no flash.
Oh no, can't even hit the blast, going to disengage away from. They found one. Now can they find themselves the second kill? Is Draku's looking to try and run away. They pop the locket, but that try and go back in Peace's favour as Aladoric does the dirty work. But now looking for the pick. There's the kick. Lived in trouble. He doesn't have a stopwatch this time. He's going to hit the Hextech ultimatum, but only delaying the inevitable. First kill found by Violet. Realm to try and run away, but there's the redemption, and there's the heal as a double kill comes on through. And Violet.
In my mind's eye, watching this horizon as you float by. Words of scattered stars across the sky. Blood moon, feeling out of sorts like you might leave soon. How much of me do you think it consumes? Easy to accuse you. I'm spun out, drifting on the highway, can't do math. Speeding makes me dizzy, double. No more pretending like my head's straight. These times, drifting up our paradigms in white lies. Words can come so easily, but where am I? Lost inside, inside. Tell me that we'll make it. Going all sideways, don't you know? Tastes like I imagine, and you still wear all these reservations, but I don't care. All this carbonation bursting out. Side note, pressure wash me off, cause I might explode. Damn, you're staring me down all these safe roads when I'ma try to drive blindfolded. Tell me that we'll make it. Going all sideways, don't you know?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the DoorDash LCO. Match 2 is certainly firing up here, and Peace are on the 2-0 scoreline currently. if you weren't here before, it still is two different casters from the earlier match. It's your boy Jubes and your boy Skimmy. They're looking pretty and they're doing a very damn good job. I'm certainly entertained listening to the broadcast. Are you guys having a good time?
Yeah, I'm having a good time. The games have been good quality. I mean, it's not been as clear cut as like it's a 2-0 and the games have been methodical, but in the early game it's been real 50-50. It's been a real it's a real tug, but once one team gets the lead, and in this case it's been Pete's both times, they've really run away with it. They know how to win with a lead.
Yeah, they certainly do. Now, going into game 3, do you expect us to see another different draft coming out from Peace, or do you think they're going to stick with one of the two they've already used and what works for them?
I don't think it's on really Peace to change things up as much as it is on Chiefs to try and do something a little bit different, right? I mentioned before, there's definitely some comfort picks, right? Some picks that, you can talk through all positions that Chiefs play that are different to others. You got like Trundle top, for instance, could be a flex. It's only Liv that plays that one. He plays the likes of Wukong. We saw his Tryndamere too. We mentioned before the Evelynn and Shyvana in the jungle position. We've seen that, Kisei can play Jason Gravesmith. There's definitely a lot of picks that are interesting that could fill a particular niche, but yeah, so far they've had moments of sunshine, but it's been a lot of downpour in between.
Yeah, well, I guess we can see exactly how it's going to go down because we're not really wasting any time tonight. Champ Select is already ready, but I feel like I've only been on the screen for 2 seconds, so I just need to say this. Twitch chat, I love you. I'm going to be joining you for game number 3. Here it is.
With that underway, it is Peace now on match point, and Chiefs fighting for their survival here in what could be a very early dismissal from Split 2's playoffs.
Have Chiefs been, have Peace been blue every game?
No, Chiefs got blue last game. Actually, no, I do tell a lie. Yeah, it has been red side every single game.
So Chiefs obviously valuing the counter pick and Peace obviously valuing the first pick. So I wonder if they just go for Lee Sin again. Yeah, okay. Like, it's working. I mean, this is the thing about a best of 3 is I'm a firm believer of if it's not being banned away, just do what's been working. Let them figure it out. If they don't need to change the Lee Sin pick. It's been good. Yeah, they had the Xin Zhao in game 2 because they got the Lulu Xin Zhao composition. But I mean, you're showing nothing. You're getting a safe pick. You're getting something that's worked, and you're 2-0 up. So there's no need to recreate the wheel. No need to paint another picture. Just keep doing it. See if Chiefs have the answer.
Yeah, and this is Chiefs having to, rightfully so, answer back in a different fashion. Rel, a pick that Draku certainly is very comfortable on. Aladoric also shares a bit of play time on the champion, but it's a pick that we know that Draku thrives on. I think back of some of the plays back in OPL 2020 when he was playing the likes of a set support, jumping in, really creating chaos. Going to be locked in place there with Swave too, so both two champions that want to come together and cause a nuisance.
I like the Zyra Rakan pick here, to be honest. The Xayah pick makes so much sense because it actually denies a lot of Diana's engage. If you're able to use the Xayah ultimate to disengage the Moonfall damage, then you're laughing. And you can just play that team fight to a T. I mean, we saw that in game 1, right? We saw how impactful Violet was on this Xayah. The Zyra Rakan lane's strong in itself, and Rel doesn't have a fantastic lane. Rel isn't a lane bully, but Rel shines when you get to the team fights, you get to the skirmishes, you get to your level 6. So I imagine, Violet and Aladoric, how they've been playing, they're probably going to try and win this lane really early. Excited about the Yasuo pickup here, Skimmy.
Yeah, well, I mean, last time we got banned away with this initial opening with the Diana in that first 2, and this time, I think Chiefs are really heavily investing in the full wombo combo potential, saying we need to get ahead early, we need to invest in these lanes, need to make sure that this mid-jungle pops off quickly, because as soon as Yasuo gets 2 completed critical chance items, very hard to come back from.
Yeah, definitely. And the good thing about the Yasuo pick there is they can actually ban a lot of answers. They banned Set, which isn't obviously a Yasuo per se answer, but I mean, Tally's probably that guy that, if anyone, is going to play at mid lane.
Yeah, he has played it before. As we mentioned, back in his time flexing into the mid lane to fill a substitute role, he did play the likes of Set mid. He's played Akali. We saw him go, Ornn, Cho'Gath, Galio, Twist of Fate, Karma, Victor. He played Lulu just before. He can do it all. He's been a player that's played multiple positions over multiple years. And it is almost like the rising star up against the experienced veteran in that mid lane.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, so far, the take stock of the series, it feels like the veterans had the upper hand, but I mean, if there's ever a champion to shine on and show that the rising star is here and here to play, it's going to be the Yasuo, right? This is the occasion for it, and they definitely need someone to step up, the Chiefs, so why not be Kisei?
Yeah, why not? And they're going to lock themselves in a Varus, and now looking to try and go away from the idea of a little bit more passive wave clear duties for Mboma. Going to go for some hard engage now. Really are seeing the pieces come together off a full wombo combo. Now, Silas, as a response, give me a nice little pickup here. Going to look to try and dissuade some of the things and say, well, if you can come at us in that same fashion, then we will dish it right back towards you.
They definitely got some good Silas ultimate options, right? And
yeah.
Ooh, the Sejuani. Okay. I mean, it makes sense, right? Both your laners are melee range champions, so you're going to be able to get a good proc off. You know, into the Yasuo as well, into the Diana. So, yeah, I guess it makes sense. It makes sense. I don't know how I feel about the Sejuani pick in general, but we'll have to see how this one plays out, because the pressure, like, and I say pressure, but Babib needs to kind of find something or get something done, because if the game just hits a little bit of a stalemate, I mean, we've seen Swaith do this time and time again with 10 CS per minute on Diana. He's going to fall behind. Like, the inevitability is that Babib just, you know, is down 2 levels, or at least a level and a substantial amount of CS. So the agency is going to have to be with Babib to get something done.
Certainly is, and we have seen him play this before. It was actually only played once, and it was in their last game of the regular split with the Wombo combo paired with Aladoric for that fantastic 4-man Leona ult. So we know they certainly have the tools for success. Swaith is a veteran Sejuani player himself, if he's ever forced to go on tanking duties. So should be an interesting matchup as to how Swaith looks to try and push the objective. If we are going to see a similar build with the Riftmaker into the Nashers, or what will be the more conventional Proto Belt Burst.
Now, both comps actually want to do similar things in terms of diving backline. The concern that I have, and the concern stems from obviously the last few games that we've seen, is how is Mboma going to survive what's coming his way, right? Like, it was rough for him on the Ezreal, it was rough for him on the Ziggs. Now, he's up against the Zyra Khan, up against the Silas Sejuani. The Silas is probably going to take the Rail ultimate, going to take the Varus ultimate. So I feel like it's going to be a bit of a tough time, because Xayah, again, has the disengage choice and the disengage abilities, whereas the Varus needs to be positioned kind of perfectly. But in saying that, I think some of Mboma's best League of Legends has been on this Varus, right? You know, I can think of many games in recent weeks where he's had some absolute standout performances. So again, across the board, if you're the Chiefs, if there is a draft where you are going to excel and where you are going to make a statement in this series, I feel like it's this one. You know, Swaith's got his bread and butter, lives on his Gnar. Kisei's got Yasuo, and it feels like across the board in terms of comfort, it's all there.
So he is all there, and it is a champion to also build the Serpent's Fang.
Yep.
It's going to give them the ability to try and burn for those shields, which have been a bit of a nuisance in this series for them to try and get through the mitigation that Peace have had. You've seen a lot of the champions that can provide it, but nothing to shut it down. He's always gone for the Halo Blade style, always gone lethality, poke Varus, and there is no difference in this game here. Peace 2-0 in the series, one away from advancing through to the next stage here in the LCO playoffs. As for Chiefs, they need a win to begin the comeback.
That they do, and I didn't want to go on a ramble because I normally cut you off for the coach's interview.
This is the joy of doing best of fives. We actually get a chance to talk as the action's happening live.
Yeah. So, do we have coach interview?
We don't.
Oh, okay. I thought we did. I thought we had another one. My bad. My bad. I got yelled at. My bad. I didn't get yelled at. I was joking. But okay.
Yeah, games 1 and 2, and
I stopped because I didn't want to do it again. I thought I learnt my lesson, and then I've made a shambles of it. I've made an absolute shambles.
It happens to the best of us, but what it does mean is we can see how things play out as Draco has started off with the leash to try and get the ball rolling here for Swaith, and a very aggressive trading patterns to start off here as Appy is wanting to get that Conquest stacked up, and he did so successfully as Liv just trades back with a singular grasp proc.
Yeah, I mean, Appy just matchup proficiency, right? I feel like he's really coming into his own in this top lane in recent weeks, and I mean, yeah, he had a bit of a rough game on the Camille in game 1. By game 2, picking up the solo kill with this Lee Sin, it feels like this is kind of the champion was made to play. He's just had some very, very good early laning phases.
Big focus has to go towards this mid lane. They've invested in Kisei to play the pop-off, go to Yasuo, back to the mechanical monster that we know that he can be, and has shown us multiple times throughout this well, this year, really, not the split, across the year. Certainly announced himself in as a new player to keep your eyes on. And certainly won't want to be remembered with a 3-0 against them. So very keen to see how they can play things out and how Sway can get to 6 as quickly as possible to try and keep the Sejuani in check.
What's going to be interesting is this mid 2v2 with the Sejuani, because Yasuo, if played correctly, can stop. As I stop. Does he get ran down here? Nah, he's fine.
He's not going to go for the hyper, but maybe he ran the numbers and he thought he had an execute, but...
Was that even lethal? Did he miss time bone plating? I feel like Lift had bone plating up as well. I don't know. Have to suss that one out, but a little bit aggressive there from Appy, maybe feeling himself after last game. But the one thing I wanted to touch on was the Sej Yasuo interaction. So you can deny the Sejuani ultimate as well as the is it Permafrost? You're the play-by-play. Yeah. So you can deny a few abilities coming out of the Sej, which really hurts the 2v2 for Peace. So, I mean, in terms of who I favor in the 2v2, at level 6, you know, for me, it's the Yasuo and the Diana. So we'll have to see how our Peace maneuver around this, right, as a 2v2 and what they're able to do. Because in terms of 1v1 priority as well, the Yasuo is always going to be able to push in the Sylas, particularly with, you know, the threat of the ultimate looming.
I mean, Windwall is just a broken ability, isn't it, right? It can just do so much, hence why Samira was one-tricked for a while. Haven't seen that champion in a hot minute, but I'm sure with the right buffs, it could come back onto our competitive screens in a heartbeat. Mid lane, though, continues to be the area to focus, and it has had a bit of a long roam from Peace to Shadow, and Protect Tally allowing him to crash that wave in.
I don't think Appy is going to get punished for having no flash in this instance, right? This is like a little bit of a nothing lane. I don't think, you know, we're going to see it explode, particularly when the bases start coming on through from both these top laners.
Mm-hmm. I did find an interesting stat actually about the top lane where Lived has the highest CS difference by 10 minutes in the league, or for a top lane anyway, whereas Appy has the highest CS per minute as the top laner.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, Lived tends to be up by about 8 CS by the 10-minute mark, but Appy is usually farming at 8 CS per minute. So, different times for them to pop off, and I think it's kind of fitting to what we've seen in this series, right? The fact that Lived has been certainly getting the better hand of it individually to start off with, but Appy sort of fulfills his role when needed and is able to close things out.
And this game feels a lot slower than what we've seen, you know, for the series so far. And I'm probably going to cast the cursor because it's about to explode in the mid lane.
So yes, both junglers are here. Looking to try and land that permafrost as you highlight. A TP comes on through. Tally the focus so far. Forced to flash away. Gets knocked up, but there is no last breath, so there is no wombo. But they will secure himself a TP. And Appy doesn't have the kickback, so a bit of a nothing gank. Perhaps warning shots.
Bit of a nothing, but they did burn Tally's flash, right? Oh. Imagine if Appy had flash there. He could flash, use the Tempest, and potentially kill Lived. Oh.
Dangerous water right now, and he's just going to get collapsed upon. Why are you roaming like this, Appy? What on earth are you doing? Where's your teammates? Where's the lane states? Where's the vision to make it? Actually gets the flash of Lived, and now Peace has to try and answer back. A long roam bot. Another TP committed, and a kill found. But can Chiefs answer back? They do take out the Sylas. Can they run them down? Kisse on the hunt. The re-engage turnaround there from Aladoric. And you can sort of feel the stress here on both courts of we need to do something, we need to get ahead early.
Yeah, I mean, Chiefs are playing pretty aggressive in this early game. I mean, it is do or die for them, so you love to see it because you don't want to see a team kind of go back into their shell and really make no plays. They reacted to the dive. They came out from Peace. Initially, it looked very good, but he's got Yasuo ultimate. And I mean, the man that you want to be ahead. Oh. Okay.
Well.
Yep. Okay.
I mean, I think that's kind of fitting to what you mentioned about the Varus pick. It's going to have a very hard time. Maybe that in isolation makes it sound worse than it really is, but I mean, how's he going to look to try and disengage away from this one? Let's not highlight that because this is the play bot side.
Yeah, and I mean, it was just a complete swing of Peace, right? They kind of left Appy to die top side, made a play bot side. Initially, it was a good one. Tally took the tower hit on the back end, auto-attacking Drag Coup, and don't know what happened in mid lane.
Yeah, caught in his zone in mid-wave. Looking to try and farm up a Storm and, yeah.
Well, because Tally wasn't in a good position prior to that kill. You know, he was 1-1-0, down a little bit of farm. And I mean, comparing him to Kisei, he wasn't in good shape. And so that kill going across the Tally pretty much closes that CS lead. And, you know, all of a sudden, he's not ahead by any means on the Silas, but he's in a reasonable position, right? In a position where he's still able to skirmish and make things happen. So it's a pretty big death, in my opinion, like, to get Tally back into the game.
Yeah, and happy days for Babbitt as well, right? You don't really think of Sejuani being the most aggressive early game, but if you can, I think you've mentioned this to me before in broadcast, you can get over that level 6 speed bump, you're sort of away and laughing. Yeah, well, you need items to clear pretty well on Sedge, right? So your initial clear on camps that are like individual camps, so the Gromp, the red buff, the blue buff, it's good. Like Sejuani has pretty good base damage in terms of in camps in isolation, but you have a little bit of trouble like AoE clearing. You know, Diana's going to AoE clear a lot quicker than you. But if you're able to get this Cinder, get a little bit of AoE burn, pick up some items that'll help you tear through the jungle, and it was just this. Oh, so he's just been punished on no vision. He's just played to the side that he couldn't see.
Played to the wrong side of the map. No vision on that side, hug the wrong side, get punished for it on mid-wave. And it's just a good punish by Babip. A player for me that I guess I want to highlight because, if I'm being brutally honest, was pretty disappointed with a few weeks that we've seen from him in the LCO, right? Expecting big things from him coming back from North America. But this series is, for me, the best of Babip. This is what we expect from him and what we expected when he was coming back.
And it feels like it's almost a showcasing of the class and sort of the level gap that you'd want to imagine would be sufficient to say that, you know, I played in the academy, I played with better people, I deserved my ticket over there. I'm back and I'm going to show you what I learned.
Yeah, and because, you know, the series to do it is the one against Swaith, right? Because in his individual right, he's had a lot of weeks in the LCO where he's been the vocal point or the pinpoint of the Chiefs, where he's been the one that's given the resources, given the champion to carry. So if you can do it against Swaith, I mean, you can pretty much do it against anyone.
So it's going to be an interesting playoff series if we have ourselves back-to-back Furios with the narratives around them and the sort of the plays and sort of hitting peak form at the right time and what it could mean, really. As for who actually takes the trophy in the end. But it is that man, not too far away from your lips again, Swaith with the most gold in the game.
Yeah, but I mean, it's the jungle mid, right, of Chiefs that are the top two. So obviously this is their strong point of the map, and Draku realizes that and is playing around it with the hover. So we'll have to see, can Chiefs blow something open? You know, it can be mid lane in the 2v2. It can be swing bot play, but it has to be something, right? You don't want to just trade CS, rest on your laurels, because yeah, you'll scale. Scaling's not a problem with the Yasuo Diana, but I mean, when you have agency and this much priority, you want to be able to use it, right? And even if it's what they're doing now, which is the good thing, just securing some vision. Make Babip's life hard, you know? Put a focus on him so he can't get anything done on Summoner's Rift.
Yeah, some very deep vision right towards his Raptors. Going to spot him out as he runs back to protect Tally, knowing that there's been a lot of pressure towards him. He does have vision in both mid bushes, but still, he's requiring the rest of his team to clear out, replenish, and replace.
And this is very good from Peace. I mean, they're using their priority, and they're using the priority gained from the numbers to get some vision back. And it's just good League of Legends. It's good, safe League of Legends, you know? They're linking up, clearing vision, making Violet's life easy, as well as Tally, right? And even at this point, Appy is walking down.
Oh. Babbitt's chucking it on in. There's the Glacial Prison to find one. There's the Magnastorm afterwards. Swaith will find the biggest one ever. There's a last breath, which may have been the last one there for Silas, but can they find more after the fact they found themselves two so far? Kisei on a double, going to get shut down by Appy, and the party stops there.
You are not going to find a better engage than that for the Chiefs. I mean, the Diana ult into the Yasuo ultimate. Again, Swaith just finds these angles time and time again. It was the teleport, not the teleport, sorry. Appy invested time to walk down to that play. So what they're losing topside is pretty significant. They're losing about 3 waves topside. And you have to say, overall, an advantage for the Chiefs.
Certainly seems to be the case here, as you've got yourself 2 kills now for that star mid laner. Let's see how it goes all again. It all starts with Babbitt. Actually, let's not see how that goes again, because there's a flash away from Violet. He's looking to try and recall those feathers, but the angle isn't desirable. Now turning his attention towards the river where Swaif was on the widest flank but has no one there. Now it's double TP. Kissy and Liv have rocked up, and maybe the fight is already dispersed.
And Skimmy, I mean, we're just singing the praises of Chiefs. They're probably going to lose the same amount topside now. I mean,
that whole lead is just non-existent.
Yeah. You know, just that little play there. It's tough because, I mean, they're going to lose even more now, right? They're going to lose mid plates. So losing plates top, losing waves top, losing plates mid, as well as a kill. And all it was Swaif getting caught in river. As simple as that. It was this Aladoric and Babip linking up for vision and Swaif going on his lonesome. And again, the Xayah pick coming up trumps because it was able to disengage the initial engage from Dragku. So just across the board, Peace playing the map well and mechanically playing their champions well.
Yeah, I mean, it went for the collapse, but just the instant turn, everybody on the same page, running to river, taking him down as a nice leather member, and then the double TP afterwards just felt like a casualty. And as we talk about the fact that Peace picked up all this map pressure with turret plates regained and so on, it isn't going to be without Chiefs picking up the second dragon and now having a clear condition to play for a soul point. It's going to be a Mountain Soul. Could be quite nice to deny some of the burst that allowed him to find those wombo combos just a little bit more forgivingly.
Now, it kind of feels like this is following a similar trajectory to games 1 and 2, right? In the sense that Chiefs had a pretty good start, but Peace just really pull it back. And then they just sit there and wait and rely on, you know, the likes of Violet, the likes of Babip to take it over the line. So again, if we're looking for the win condition of Chiefs, it's still through Swaith and Kisei, right? They're still at points in the game where they're going to be doing a significant amount. I mean, Kisei still has a bounty to his name.
And Aladoric is dashing on in. So much mobility on the Rakan there. Last breath is used against them.
He lives.
A little bit of a taste of her own medicine. Yeah. And Kisei does survive. Says I do it a little bit better. I'm the only champion that should be able to lose that ability. And once again, nothing found from it, but the pressure, I mean, it's coming to a boil.
That's wild to me that he lives there, by the way. But I mean, I guess this is the problem and kind of the question I had with the 2v2. If Yasuo can deny a lot of the damage coming out of Sejuani, and Sylas, you know, at this point in the game doesn't do the most, right? Like, Sylas obviously scales quite well into the mid game. Do you have enough damage to burn through the Yasuo? Because obviously the answer to the question was no, you didn't. And, you know, is Kisei going to go for the shield bow? If he does, it becomes a little bit harder even. So, you know, some things to consider for Peace.
And then the question becomes, does Appy go for the Serpent's Fang himself to look to make life a little bit easier if they do go for those picks? Do they feel like their damage is just a little bit too much to contain? They don't need to rely on a singular item. I mean, 50% reduced is nothing to laugh at.
And this could be Tally dying on this window, but the cannon got the cannon just in time.
Lots of item spikes coming through. Only the supports are lagging behind, where Swaif has gone once again for the variation of this Diana build.
Yeah, he likes this variation, doesn't he? I feel like he's probably one of the only players in the LCO that does this build, because I feel like in a competitive sense, you don't get to utilize this build to the fullest, right? Like, we're seeing how quickly these team fights are over. You know, the Wit's End not the Wit's End, the Tooth. And I might even just hold the thought, because potentially we just see a contest.
Does he steal this with the kick? He's going to go in after the fact, but then there's the kick. That was the real objective. Once again, run it back onto Kisei. You got yourself a shield bow, but you're still going to get shut down. Deny him, and then picking up the second Herald of the game.
Peace are just playing with so much confidence, right? I mean, they've just denied this Herald. It looks like they're not even going to be able to pick this one up, and so they get a shutdown. They deny the Rift Herald, and potentially, potentially they break mid-turret here. No, they don't break mid-turret, so that's fine. But I mean, across the board, these little wins are just momentum builders, right? And I know it sounds funny to say because, like, yeah, it's just a little bit of gold injection and it's nothing substantial, but momentum in a game of League of Legends, it's just as mental as it is anything else, right? Because you're down 2-0 in a series, you had a pretty good start to the game, and then your strongest member has been picked off at a Rift Herald that should have been yours. And it was a nice play from Appy, right? So, I mean, these things start to play on your mind, you become a little more hesitant, and we really need to see how Chiefs respond to it now.
And these slow little outplays have been, you know, building up time and time again across this entire series with the mobility allowing Peace to play with confidence. The fact that Lee Sin's jumping in there, and you're thinking, okay, he's looking for a steal, adventurous, but why not? But ultimately, it's just to find that pick and remove a crucial member. And Chiefs playing on the front foot, looking to try and come back and close the gold lead, which is still very slim. But that is being denied. So again, completely shut out in the first 15.
But I feel like, you know, at this point, Chiefs have I feel like the last 2 games we talked about, you know, if Chiefs were behind, it's tough for them to find a way back in, right? Yep. I feel like that was the narrative around the first 2 games and the drafts. Whereas I feel in this game, no matter, relatively speaking, no matter the deficit, with the Yasuo Diana, you can always come back into it with the Rel as well. Chiefs have the tools now to always find a way back. So this is where, you know, although it's 2K at the moment, or 1K rather, you know, Chiefs can always win a team fight, and this is anyone's game, this next Dragon fight.
Certainly isn't alarm bells just yet. What does sound a little bit negative against the Chiefs is the fact that we're complimenting Peace for playing so well across all 3 games so far, but Chiefs certainly have some opportunities to perform with the composition that they have drafted. We've seen crazier things happen. A wombo combo, always exciting, can always pop off. Tally has stolen the Gnar, and they might just wait out Liv's duration before they decide to contest.
And this might just be a little bit too early to pop the Mega Gnar, right? And keep your eyes on Tally. He has the Mega Gnar ultimate. So we'll need to wait and see. It's just gone down now, so if there's a time to engage,
Aladoric flashing on in. There could be the Gnar to follow things up. That's the biggest last breath. That's as good as it gets for Kisei. Can he find a kill? He can't find a kill because he's gone. Can't use the flash. Appy flashing over to take out Mboma. Lights out for the Varets. And Live the sole survivor, but they won't be able to find a soul. Not early anyway. 19 minutes in. Pisa denied it. And might find themselves another perfect ace.
My question to you, Skimmy, is where was this piece all year? I mean, all split rather. I mean, nice execute there off the back end if you're being optimistic, but the way they wait out cooldowns, and they did it to the second, right? They did it to the millisecond. When we get the replay and you see Aladoric on the back end, he gets a multi-man Rakan ultimate just off the exhaustion of the Gnar, and they just clean up. It's like clockwork. Look at that. That's a 3-man into another 3-man, and it's kind of, from here it's all downhill. The Chiefs do their best to recover with the Diana and the Yasuo, but the story of the series, it feels like, is the Chiefs have just been second. They've been the ones reacting to Aladoric, reacting to Babip. And I mean, if you're reacting with a Yasuo Diana, you're going to come off worse for wear.
Oh, for sure. I mean, you're always looking to try and be on the front foot, right, to set that state of affairs. And, I mean, yeah, they're looking to really try and bully themselves out, but each time they're taking these trades, they are starting to hurt. It was, what, a 1K lead for Peace before, now it's up by 4K. It's Babbitt once again finding himself that pick target. Is onto Mboma, his life doesn't get much easier. He's just dead before he can even do anything. The Chance Corruption went out, but did you see it? Because I didn't. Kisei gone, Violet flashing in, hunting for the second, Live close to Mega, does have the Gnar, but Draku's already disengaged away, and Peace standing strong as a 5-man squad go from Baron, or from Dragon, now here to Baron.
If there's one thing that we have in the LCO, we don't have in the LCO, it's Smithies on Sejuani, because Babip is just heat-seeking with these Sejuani ultimates at the moment. They have Mega on the Gnar, Swaith is still alive.
They're all in on Swaith. He's getting knocked up once. He's going to go golden, raiding for Draco.
Oh, here we go.
In. Massive 3-man Magnet Storm. There's the Mega Gnar to follow things up. A shutdown, taking out Appy. This Baron is still quite healthy, down to 3K. Alador needs to try and run away. He has to try and disengage into the pit, but he has no money. He has no close gap closer to get into the pit, and in the end, it's going to be a 2-man Baron picked up.
Yas has ulti. Draco can land a little bit, a knock-up or CC. No.
He doesn't have a flash. Not very easy for Rel to make that play. Scary times. Liv just picked up a triple.
Yeah, I mean, a little bit of a hiccup there from Peace, going a little bit too deep on that Baron buff, trying to deny Swaith entry into the pit. So it was the right idea, but execution was wrong, and Chiefs are able to pull back a little bit of gold, but this teleport is deep.
Big flank. Appy has the ulti, ready to kick a key target into the opposition, going for the wave, looking for Mboma, gets stunned, gets knocked up, gets kicked away, already burned. So Mboma now going to feel a little bit more safe about his position. The stun doesn't connect from Gnar, but it's not going to seem to matter. There's the wombo, but it's only on Appy, who still survives, and outranges the arrow to safeguard shield. It's just too much to come by. Then kicks him to the head as Kisei is space gliding through minions. A double kill found for Tally, and Peace are just insane.
Yeah, they're simply Skimmy. They are just clicking their buttons. Way better. And obviously, I think that's a little bit of an insult even. But mechanically, this is what we expect from Peace. I mean, to a millisecond. Violet gets jumped on, the Diana ultimate comes down, and Violet disengages perfectly with the Xayah ult. Then it's only a one-man Yasuo ultimate, and you don't have any key targets, and it's just clockwork. It is just absolute clockwork from Peace. And you know, there was nothing eloquent about it. It was a little bit of an aggressive deep teleport, and we thought Appy was caught, but they just time and time again this series outplaying their opponents.
This Lee Sin in the games here for Peace just does not know how to fall on down. The first inhibitor goes, there's the Magic Storm onto 3, the Wombo to follow things up. Swave does not have the Moonfall, but the last breath is used. Not a single member of Peace has fallen down so far, but Kisei is fragile. He could fall on down as a result.
Oh.
There's Tally flashing in, meaning business. The chains, and he still's way to make the Storm for himself. That's how you use it, because you just find yourself 2 kills, but we're not done yet, Jukes. We want a triple, and that is what we will find. Peace looking to make it back-to-back 3-0s on the night. Peace looking to run the lower bracket and show that whilst the split can start off poorly, they can end on a high, taking down these Nexus turrets, forcing the opposition back into the fountain. Juice, Peace might be back to play.
Yeah, it looks like the Peace hype train is back. It's back on the rails. You know, I think the tickets got lost in the mail early on, but you know, all aboard.
Congratulations. Our second quarterfinal, and it ends with Peace getting a clean sweep, a 3-0. Who would have predicted this? Certainly not us.
No, none of us, I don't think. I mean, because again, you know, congratulations to Peace, and it was a fantastic performance, but we can't stress how good Chiefs were looking, right? Chiefs were looking like the real deal. I mean, a lot of people had them penciled in as the favourites to make the finals. That was the narrative. And I mean, Peace have just, you know, washed away the Chiefs. So, not much to say. I mean, I'm a little bit shocked that the game ended that quickly, to be honest with you. It really just came down to the micro was just on point. The micro in those skirmishes was just fantastic to watch and see.
Yeah, it just seems like the curse is still there, Max. The fact that whenever Peace and Chiefs do battle, Peace just seems to have that slight edge against them.
Certainly does. And you said no one predicted it, but Twitch predicted it.
Did they go 3-0?
Mac predicted
Mac
it.
is just insane today.
Well, I'm 3-0 for every game, depending on, and it's all in. So if Twitch predict the first game going to one team, I'll go 3-0 to that team.
I was gonna say, because there's no way Twitch chat. Never mind. I'm not gonna flame them.
No, you flame.
Pick my battles.
What were you gonna say?
No, I pick my battles.
Twitch
I pick
just
my battles.
asked, what were you gonna say?
No, because you know what? I realised Twitch has been nice to me. Anyway.
Really, it's true. They have been. They love you, Tubes. So you should love them in return. That's how love works. You know, it's a bit of a give and take scenario. Speaking of, there was absolutely no giving to Chiefs this series because Peace were all take. And that's the icing on the cake, really, isn't it? So, bit of a lackluster season coming in as 5th and looking to make this lower bracket run a reality and starting damn strong. 3-0. And just doing everything right in all 3 games. It was a bit of a rocky start in game number 1, but here in game number 3, it felt like it was just the Peace train the whole damn time. Maybe there were a couple of moments where Chiefs did some entertaining things, may have turned it into a potential lead, but it seemed like everything I was watching was that Peace just knew exactly what they were doing. They were just in control the whole damn time.
It's just unbelievable, Mac. I'm just lost for words to think how, you know, Chiefs could have played this one better because just across the board, Peace said we had an idea. You've got some clear direction in the drafting phase to take away from us, but just pound for pound, whilst you can talk the talk of, you know, being better lane for lane, ultimately it came down to the small moments like this. The fact that Appy does not fall down really sums up the series for Peace.
Yeah, just a cracking effort all across the board. Now, I guess it's already a good time to start to talk about the conversation of what are they going to be able to do against Order, because if this piece comes up against the Order we saw today, I already feel like it's going to be another one of those situations where we could be up in a piece 3-0. Like, what are your thoughts on that?
I think if this piece is the piece that turns up, this is grand final piece in my opinion. Maybe a little bit biased, I don't know, but you know, the players, the names, how it's all meshed, and like it was just clean games. It wasn't even, you know, it wasn't like 40-minute, you know, really, really long games. It was just, once they got the lead, clean, concise. Aladoric, for me, probably the MVP in terms of the engages he was able to find and how he was able to rally the troops around most of those skirmishes. Babbitt probably a close second, but I mean, across the board, it's just what we expect from this team.
And look, that's a very short game as well. 23 minutes for the third game in a best of 5 series, rather. That's almost on par with what was the fastest game. I think it was like 21 minutes and something the other day, right? So there's still a chance that the fastest games could come through here in the playoffs, and I'm excited to see what goes down. Now, we already have the game that's going to be played tomorrow, but we also have someone that needs to have her opinion, and that is Nat, who's always got a pretty accurate, pretty solid opinion. Nat, how are you feeling after watching that game?
Yeah, pretty good. I definitely thought it was going to be a little bit closer between the two teams. Chiefs maybe not really putting up as much of a fight as a lot of us thought they were going to, but Peace showed up today. They stepped up. They needed to do what was done, and it was an amazing showing.
It certainly was. Now, who do you have for the winner's interview?
I'm going to be joined by Violet because that bot lane looked pretty darn impressive. Congratulations on a win for the series. How are you and the Peace Boys feeling?
We're all feeling very happy about that win, even though it was expected.
Okay, so you say it was expected. Does that mean, at any point you weren't too worried that, especially early game Chiefs were looking pretty good, but you weren't too worried at all during that?
I think, to be honest, unless we're losing early game like super hard, which I don't think we were. Like obviously, like I think the first 2 games, our early game wasn't too like solid. It was a little shaky, but if I get a free scale, the game is just over.
It is a bit like that. We know how, you can pop up during a lot of these games. Now, we spoke about game 1 just then briefly. It was a lot more aggressive. It felt a lot more fighting for you guys. But game 2 and 3 felt a little bit slower. Why the momentum change for you guys?
I think honestly, like early game, I think my jungler, my mid laner, I think they always wanted to like take fights, and like I was just honestly like AD carry is a trash role. Like I was literally just piss chilling in the bot lane, just farming it up, and then when it came to the team fights, I just right click. That's all.
Oh, sounds like you had a pretty amazing series then. Let's briefly go over the draft. You guys changed your draft up quite a lot, but do you think there was anything surprising coming out from the Chiefs for you guys?
No, we weren't surprised. Chiefs is probably one of the most like teams that like we already know what they play. We already know what style they play. They haven't changed like much or at all since like the start of Split. So like, I mean, it was just easily predictable to play against them, and it's very like easy for me personally to just play all 3 games out.
Yeah, do you think that was then a bit of the key to success for you guys, or was there more to it?
Yeah, for sure. Like, I think our drafts were like we were pretty much prepared for everything that they picked. Everything was like expected.
I like you guys are just absolutely prepared for anything. But speaking of that, you guys will be coming up against Order next week. So I guess how are you feeling? I know it's a little bit away, but how are you feeling going into that one, and what sort of prep will you guys be doing for that?
I think we're just gonna prep as normal, but I think Order is a pretty trash team, to be honest. Like they just got easier by Direwolves, and I think they're just gonna get absolutely fucking destroyed by me and Eldrick and the rest of my team.
Alrighty, well look, that's a bit of a soundbite clip if I've ever heard one. And it'll be definitely interesting to see what happens when you guys do face off. But congratulations again on the win of the series, and thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.
He didn't even give us a fucking chance to use the bloody swear budget this week. Jesus, mate, come on.
Say, we talked about going into this series how sometimes Violet felt like, like a little bit stone-faced or whatnot. I don't know how you say that on broadcast and not laugh.
Do you know what's funny? Do you know what's funny about this show? Normally, I pep talk myself before show not to swear because the business that I'm in, I swear a lot. And so I come into this show and I'm like, well, I've got to be the most mature one. And that's saying something because I'm never the mature one.
I think you're holding yourself back.
I am holding myself back.
You could have so much more potential, Jubes. We've spoken about your creativity on the show, and I'm going to add to the notes. All right, next split, Jubes has got to drop at least. I'll put in 12? You want 12 F-bombs for the split?
In one show, yeah.
in one
So
show.
each week.
Wow. That's
a
not
big
even
day to tune
creative.
in.
That's just dangerous.
Hey,
Now,
I'm a dangerous man.
Oh, you certainly you got me convinced. Now, look, we do have the DoorDash player that delivered for the second series of the day. And your DoorDash player that delivered for that series was your boy Aladoric in the bot lane in that support role. And his stats for game 3, look at that, 94% kill participation. He was doing work there. And I swear, in this league, he has the highest amount of wards placed. I swear. If he's not, well, I'm wrong. But every time we get him here for the player that delivered, he's always just got bulk wards down. And I know Rusty would be so proud if he was here, Juice.
Yeah, this is a Rustos stat. If Rusty was here, mate, he'd be breaking it down. He'd be breaking the numbers down to a T. So I'll try to do Rusty some justice, but the kill participation for me is the massive one. Obviously, we don't care about damage when you're on support. Wards place, very significant. Obviously, they had control of Summoner's Rift at all times, and you don't get to get the engages Aladoric did if you don't have vision control. So, I mean, for me, you know, he was the player that delivered all night. I mean, in every single game, at almost all points, he just had a fantastic series.
Very good job. And he had one last week as well, right? So that means he's got at least $200 in DoorDash vouchers. Sorry, I'm just writing down notes of the next segment, which is our favorite segment. Do you want to know what it is? It's the play of the day. And you guys, I know you weren't here for the first series, but I know you all watched it. What do you reckon the play of the day could have been for all 6 of the games that we saw this evening?
Oh.
Surely you guys just stick to that Trundle play. You kind of liked that one.
Well,
you guys hyped it up.
The pillar.
Nah.
Yeah.
Player of the day. Sorry.
I was going to say,
Juice,
the pillar is like a highlight, right? But it's definitely not a whole play in its own. I was looking at the fact that Claire, 4v5 for the Dragon, like slice and dices in, stuns and wins the 4v5 for the Drake. I thought that was pretty hype from the first series. From the second one, anything that has Lee Sin involved, because the guy just did not fall down. It was crazy. I don't know. I can't think of a single play because it was hype.
What about you, Nat? Anything?
No, nothing. It's crazy. Nothing overly stands out for me, but I do think there was a little bit more in the Dire Wolves series. I think I'm going to say it's in that series. I know that's a half of the games that were played today, but I think, like I said, Chiefs didn't really feel like they stepped up as much, and so I think there was a lot more, I guess, action or play of the day potential from the Dire Wolves.
Okay, what were you going to say?
Mine was just one of the Rakan engages from Aladoric. He got like a 3 or 4 man Rakan engage, and I was like, but obviously supports, who cares about supports, so whatever, he's not getting it.
Didn't look at a player that delivered, that's all I get.
You reckon supports delivered? Nah.
Well, there you have it. Look, no one said the play of the day. So, have a look at what the play of the day is. It's your boy Gunkrab with a 3k on the defense, and it was more than enough to win Dire Wolves the game. So, Groovy Juvie, you want to take some notes here?
Yeah, I'm taking some notes. The Rise Ultimate comes on through, Ron walks in. Yeah, a little bit of a Zonya's there. The Xerath, a little bit cheeky with it. Oh, yeah, execute, bang, bang, bang. Okay. Oh, the Chompers, unlucky. All right, wait, is that? Oh, I missed it, haven't I? It was a bit quick. I missed it, it was too quick. I thought it was going to start at the inhibitor. Well done, Mr. Producer. You've ruined my night. You've ruined my night.
Whoa! That's so like, you went from 0, like, yep, I got this. Oh, I missed it. That's it, my night's ruined.
I thought it was starting at the inhibitor.
Nah, my night's ruined.
Wait,
don't talk
can we run it back one more time?
Don't worry about it. It's done.
No, it's ruined.
Done.
It's ruined.
Are the powers that be, can they run it back?
It's ruined.
Hello, can we?
Maybe?
Surely? Is it possible?
Hopefully?
Is there
I'm with you, Juice.
It's
ruined.
It's possible. It is possible.
All right, we can run it back.
happen.
We can run it back one more time for you, Juvie.
All right.
Let's go.
All right, so we've got the replay coming on here. Sorry, Mr. Producer, that was my fault. So the inhibitor's getting whacked down. Club, Trump, Troll goes in. Realm Mob goes down. Order are going to do it. They're going to take the game back in this series and bring it back down around the corner to Timbuktu. Can they do it? No. Gunkrab goes bang. He goes bang. And he goes bang again. And he's absolutely put that nail into the coffin. Bang, 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 bang. Gunkrab, you bloody legend.
Club, whack, the inhibitor.
Nothing to do.
That guy's a sniper with the Xerath. Bang.
You go one step further, like, enemy AC 130 above.
Yeah. He's dropping bombs, man.
Boom.
That out, to be honest, my temple's throbbing a little bit. I might get some Panadol or something. DoorDash. Do DoorDash do Panadol?
I think they might actually.
I think they do.
I saw that there was like a pharmacy section.
You
Anyway,
can get like
that's it.
IGA. Anyway, yeah, whatever.
I'm doing it.
Yeah, it's a conversation for another time. For now, let's have a look at the updated bracket after all the games today, after all this playoff action, to see what we're going to have on the menu for tomorrow. Of course, it is going to be that upper bracket match, Pentanet against Direwolves. So that is going to be one that you don't want to miss. And then the other game that has been updated, of course, is Order up against Peace, which is going to be next week. So no one's going to be eliminated again this week other than Chiefs. So they are the only team we've said goodbye to. And it looks like next week there's only going to be one more team that we're going to say goodbye to. So that'll leave 2 teams remaining all the way into the finals. No, my calculations are wrong. There's another week after that, and then of course we do have the grand finals. I don't know, man. It's been a long day. I too need a Red Bull just to re-energize quickly. But for now, I'm pretty happy where we ended up, and I think all of us are still very much on track to get our Twitter predictions correct. So let's remember that. So we're all big brains.
We did get a few skeptics. They did say
they didn't believe it.
They didn't. Look, there's a reason we get paid the $1 million contracts to be here. Okay, there's a reason. So that's all I'm saying.
Predictions, only predictions,
100%.
nothing about knowledge.
Well, do you guys have any more knowledge that you want to share before we do wrap up the festivities today?
I do have one thing. I was talking to Phil in my downtime between. I just got to pull it up. Sorry, I'm just searching for it. In my downtime between games and things like this, and the most interesting thing that we found or discovered that Mammoth had the most amount of first bloods throughout this whole split. They sit on 66.67% of first bloods in their games played that they gained. They got 66% of first bloods. I just thought that was an interesting little knowledge, but maybe some people out there wanted. We talked about their improvement. That's a pretty big showing of it.
Well, there you go. So that is a good thing that hopefully they can improve on. So they're strong starters, but unfortunately they're last place finishers, or wooden spooners, as some would say. However, certainly turning a lot of heads, as were both of tonight's games. But that's it for the DoorDash LCO for this evening. Thank you all for joining us. We'll be back tomorrow with that upper bracket match. It is going to be Pentanet and Direwolves. We'll see you tomorrow afternoon.
Who got it? It was in the end. It was only he got it. But in the end, we're still looking at Order trying to end the game. Puma so low, goes down to an Elder Proc, but the Nexus is open. Kevy surely won't have enough damage to get it done here himself and will fall down. Order, despite a very stoic attempt on the defense, here's a teleport into the backline. Maximize and Chungy. Can they finally turn something back on its head? Well, Maximize just gets absolutely obliterated, deleted. But the reinforcements are there. Beats now the focus of fire, gives the reset over to Only, who will now take his man. Puma is the next one to fall.
Looking overall,
looks like they're going to go for Claire here. Hex flash over the wall from Beats. Should get the hook through, but a good flash from Claire, dodges it. And it sends Kevy absolutely reeling under the tower. That has gone all wrong for Order.
And they might now just turn their attention on towards Lift. 1v5, they're going towards him. He hits the counter-strike. There's another Moonfall, follow things up. But it's when he burned that Featherstorm, looking to try and flash away. Both flashing away, but Lift chases, but he will not find him. But it's a little bit too good on this Zarya. And that's now going to be Mboma, forced to flash away into a wave that just does not exist. There is the ace. It's a perfect one. Not a single member of Peace falling on down. And at 33 minutes into this one, Peace mean business and start this series with a win. All in on Sway, can get knocked up once. He's going to go golden, raiding for Drake.
Here we go.
In. Massive 3-man Magna Storm. There's the Meganada, follow things up. A shutdown, taking out Appy. This Baron is still quite healthy, down to 3k. Alador needs to try and run away. He has to try and disengage into the pit, but he has no money. He has no close gap closer to get into the pit. And in the end, it's going to be a 2-man Baron picked up.